Patient, we wait to attack. I feel like I've lost it, I see through the gas. Obnoxious, I'm knocking, yeah, I'm taking your bag. I feel like I'm caustic, looting your buddy, your homie still choking on gas. I'm laughing, baiting the enemy, hoping they pick up your slack. Yeah, winning now feels like a thing of the past. The pros are gonna throw up the glass. We take what we want, we leave in the trash. Racking up facts as we move through the map. We're waiting for people to follow my track. Go to swamps, don't take what we want. Jumping down, living some 50 day. What we owing, man, through the door, flat line, like you up. Always getting what we want, but it never is enough.
My methods are only controversial to those who lack imagination.
I feel like I'm caustic, I'm breathing on gas. They're on the smoke, patient, we wait to attack. I feel like I've lost it, I see through the gas. Obnoxious, I'm knocking, yeah, I'm taking your bag. I feel like I'm caustic, I'm breathing on gas. They're on the smoke, patient, we wait to attack. I feel like I've lost it, I see through the gas. Obnoxious, I'm knocking, yeah, I'm taking your bag. I'm throwing out cans, I'm betting you won't. Peacekeeper making you dance, you know I'm the GOAT. Champion squad, every time we go, this legend control. I climb to the top, no matter the toll. I climb to the top, no matter the toll. I'm throwing out cans, I'm betting you won't. Peacekeeper making you dance, you know I'm the GOAT. Champion squad, every time that we go, this legend control. I climb to the top, no matter the toll.
Yeah, hey, I climb to the top.
I climb to the top, no matter the toll. Take a look at the scoreboard. I thought that you would do more. I'm giving this my everything. I'm the best that you have ever seen. I'm starting. I'm going in. Where is my team? Nobody slays like I slay. Come on, girl. Nobody slays like I slay. This is my world. Nobody slays like I slay. Come on, girl. Nobody slays like I slay. This is my world. Nobody slays like I slay. This is my world. I'm starting. I'm going. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest till the armor falling off. Oh god, all this gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop, leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot, watch you fade like a thought. Skull town where I bang, watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. 301 in my hands, different drop, same plan. To my squad, I'm the man, I'ma win this, no I can't. Sending shots, no spam, accurate, watch them slam, watch them run while they can, make them slump. Give me the loot, take what I want, all of my rounds, light like the sun, yeah I am the one, lighting you up. R301, you're all that I need, you're all that I want. We at the top, act like we scum, taking your life and leaving the crumbs. Do what we want, we get the dub, living that life, yeah R301. I got the sides, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mad, more shots, standing stock, ready pop. I got the sides, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mad, more shots, standing stock, ready pop. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest till the armor falling off. Oh god, all this gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop, leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot, watch you fade like a thought. Skull town where I bang, watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest till the armor falling off. Oh god, all this gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop, leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot, watch you fade like a thought. Skull town where I bang, watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest till the armor falling off. Oh god, all this gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop, leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot, watch you fade like a thought. Skull town where I bang, watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. Ooh, let the 301 hum, bounce the bullets off your chest till the armor falling off. Oh god, all this gas making you cough, feeling caustic when I drop, leave your body in a pile, let it rot. Shield cells got a lot, watch you move, you a bot, watch you fade like a thought. Skull town where I bang, watch your life, watch your drain, never getting off the train, never drop another game, yeah. I got the sides, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mad, more shots, standing stock, ready pop. I got the sides, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mad, more shots, standing stock, ready pop. I got the sides, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mad, more shots, standing stock, ready pop. I got the sides, H-Cog, barrel stabilized, no rock. Standing mad, more shots, standing stock, ready pop. Run up feeling dirty, dirty, hit 'em with the 30-30. Dropping with me, that's a 50-50, and ain't never learning. Back to the lobby, got you playing sloppy. Triple take your life away, we the third party. Yeah, we all in, yeah, we mobbing down the hill and they falling. I'm looting up they squad, yeah, they ballin', I'm ballin'. I told you we would get it, yeah, I called it. We keep on queuing up, we just can't get enough. These wins are stacking up, my ops like a lake, yeah, they spotted up. We know when to run, we know when to fry. We turning, we burning, we leaving the house to die. Run up feeling dirty, hit 'em with the 30-30. Dropping with me, that's a 50-50, and ain't never learning. Back to the lobby, got you playing sloppy. Triple take your life away, we the third party. Golden light bag, leave your body in a bag. Was a 301, but it was a 1v3, bet you mad. Rolling round a circle like a private lobby. They gon' need a third, fourth, fifth party if they wanna stop me. Call me the meta man, they copy when they can, they just don't understand. I got this mastiff and I'm ripping up your plans. I ain't let it slam. My bullets blood, you open up the dam. Everything I do, this the way I am. Run up feeling dirty, hit 'em with the 30-30. Drop it with me, that's a 50-50, and ain't never learning. Back to the lobby, got you playing sloppy. Triple take your life away, we the third party. Run up feeling dirty, hit 'em with the 30-30. Drop it with me, that's a 50-50, and ain't never learning. Back to the lobby, got you playing sloppy. Triple take your life away, we the third party. Yeah. We all in, yeah, we mobbing down the hill and they falling. I'm looting up they squad, yeah, they ballin', I'm ballin'. I told you we would get it, yeah, I called it. We keep on queuing up, run up feeling dirty, hit 'em with the 30-30. Drop it with me, that's a 50-50, and ain't never learning. Back to the lobby, got you playing sloppy. Triple take your life away, we the third party. Run up feeling dirty, hit 'em with the 30-30. Drop it with me, that's a 50-50, and ain't never learning. Back to the lobby, got you playing sloppy. Triple take your life away, we the third party. Tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. Tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. We're going left, I need you by my side. We're going left, tell me why you're always on the right. Don't decide, I just need you to barely try. No, I fry, I just need you to not die. There's one left, I need you to win this fight. You should've rested, we lose like this every time. Go ahead and cry, you're not getting better. This isn't fine, we can't play together. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. Tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. Going left, I need you by my side. Going left, why you're always on the right. Don't decide, I just need you to barely try. No, I fry, I just need you to not die. There's one left, I need you to win this fight. You should've rested, we lose like this every time. Go ahead and cry, you're not getting better. This isn't fine, we can't play together. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Series E Apex Legends. We're kicking off Week 6 today, and of course, right on the heels of the North American ALGS Split 1 playoffs. My name is Jay, so excited to be here with you all once again. We've got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of action to watch tonight, and I'm super excited about it. Now, for all of you that may be new to the show and don't know how Series E works, I can break it down for you, okay? Series E is a professional esports open circuit across multiple different titles. We've got Apex Legends, Guilty Gear Strive, and Halo Infinite. Now, the way that things work is players come and compete in our open qualifiers, and the best of the best qualify for Series E. Now, that means that those players get drafted by one of our partnered squads. They sign a contract, they get a monthly salary, and they get the opportunity to play weekly for points and prize money. In Apex Legends, it's every Tuesday night against other open squads, just like they used to be themselves, and then every single Wednesday against some of the best pros from all across North America. Now, if you and your friends want to get in on the action, make sure to head over to matcherino.com/ESA for a shot at being a future Series E Pro. And I do want to remind you folks, of course, I mentioned Halo Infinite there at the start of that explanation. Our qualifiers for Halo Infinite Series E kick off next Monday. January 31st is the first day of qualifiers. The second one is February 7th, that following Monday. So make sure to head over to matcherino.com/ESA to sign up for that ASAP. Okay, spots will fill up quick. Make sure you get in there. Now, let's focus on Apex Legends. Of course, as I mentioned, the North American ALGS playoffs happened just this past Sunday. And of course, do have to give a special congratulations to TSM for coming out on top. They played some of the best Apex Legends we have seen from them in quite a while. It seemed like the squad was going through some growing pains thanks to the roster adjustments that they made about 6 weeks ago, but they definitely saved their best for Sunday's playoffs and showed up strong. And of course, a special congratulations goes out to our old friend Verholst, one of our Series E pros, came up during Season 3 on Team Intel, won the championship for Series E in Season 3, went on to compete in the ALGS with Team Esports Arena, and then got picked up by TSM and was, of course, a big part of their victory on Sunday. We're very excited for Verholst and proud of what he has done, and are looking forward to continuing to see him grow and succeed in professional Apex Legends. That's the kind of opportunities that happen here at Series E, folks. That's what it's all about. So congratulations to Verholst. Of course, we always also have to talk about Team Esports Arena. Of course, second place was NRG, but in third place was our boys, Team Esports Arena. Duplex, Skittle Cakes, and Noct finished third overall. They were one of the first two teams to get up to match point. They looked really, really strong. They're another squad that had struggled a little bit in the interim, incorporating Noct into the roster, replacing Verholst. It seemed like there were a bit of growing pains there, similar to what TSM saw, but they also came out and played very well. Of course, Duplex and the squad, I would say, not entirely satisfied with the result. I think they feel that they could have won, and I certainly think they can, but what I saw this past Sunday was a lot of strong growth from the team, and I'm looking forward to what should be a very bright future. Really enjoyed watching the playoffs this weekend. Of course, shout outs to everybody over at the Apex team and Respawn. The broadcast was a lot of fun. I certainly enjoyed it, getting to watch all those awesome POVs of all the different players. Really enjoyed everything. The games were incredible. Even EMEA on Saturday was an absolute blast. So shout out to everybody over there. Of course, a lot of work went into preparing for this weekend's games, and it was a blast to watch. But of course, we have to focus here on Series E now, because as I mentioned, we are kicking off week number 6. When we get to the end of this week, we will be a third of the way through this season. Of course, the teams, a lot at stake here. Splash jumping up from the bottom of the standings. They're going to be trying to chase down Excedrin this week, and Vizio trying to return to form after dropping their first open night last Tuesday. A lot at stake here. Cash, points. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a couple of great casters on the show with us today. Of course, Vicky Kitty coming off of casting that championship on Sunday, and my good friend Zephyr. And I just want to say to Zephyr, gig 'em, my friend. Love the hat you're rocking today on the show. Excited to see it all. But we're ready to go. The casters are ready to go. The games are ready to start. So let's kick off week 6 of Series E.
Series E.
Series E.
Series E.
Series E. Series E.
Apex Legends.
Apex Legends.
Series E. Apex Legends starts right now.
And now we're seeing once again, just like game 2, slow down,
Split Fury time and time again, and geez, if they think they're winning it, chances are they're winning it.
It gets thirsted by Zera Tricky as Hacula is going to come around the corner with the spray, and now it's just one player alive over here, and this was...
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to Series E. We are bringing you week 6 of our Open Tournament. I, of course, am your host, Zephyr, and this time around, a lovely face to behold here once again on Series E. Vicky Kitty, our ALGS queen, joining us for some of the action.
Oh man, that intro, Zephyr, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be casting with you. You had so many nice words, and I've heard so many good things throughout your time here in the Series E, and now we get to cast this together. What are the chances coming out of the ALGS to do this too?
It's the stars have aligned here to give us this lovely opportunity. So I hope you're going to enjoy it as much as I will. I'll sleep at night happy in my dreams thinking about today for the future. But for the teams here, they've got a future that they have yet to set for themselves. 6 games to go here tonight. Once again in our Open, we of course have our signed teams, but plenty of new faces that will be joining as well.
Yeah, you can see the point distribution still going to be going with that ALGS point distribution that we've been using this entire season so far with that $500 prize pool. First place, you'll be able to obtain 12 points. Second, 9 points. Third, 7. Fourth place will give you 5 points. Fifth, 4, and then so on and so forth going down that leaderboard. That's why placement is so important, but that KP that you could obtain along the way mid-rotation is just as important to the skyrocket and kind of create that gap between first and second place.
Ooh, we'll see who will be able to do just that. And let's actually take a look at the teams that are available here tonight. Our 20 that'll be joining us on Open. Of course, we have our 6, Excedrin, Intel, Nerf, Razor, Splash, Vizio once again here. But alongside them, plenty of other familiar faces, a lot that we have now seen come out of the Challenger circuit and now will be joining us here in the Pro League for Split 2.
Yeah, Zephyr, we were talking a little bit about it when we were looking at our teams coming up, but what a stacked week Open is this time around. RCO coming through. This is one of our teams that have qualified for the Split 2 of Pro League. We were talking a little bit about teams like Last Minute earlier on today, too. Nightmare, of course, coming in. Furia, the squad that just performed in the ALGS, they're coming in for a run back, but overall, between literally vibing and our 6 other sponsored teams, it's going to be stacked here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Plenty of action to behold. I want to throw in one more name there just before we forget. They also had the opportunity to compete through ALGS, but Lazarus can't quite count them out. They haven't been doing too good, but that doesn't just mean you can write them off any old day here.
Yeah, Lazarus being one of those squads that really surprised me actually throughout this past weekend. They were popping off as the games were progressing. Even though things came to a conclusion after game number 7, Lazarus came out of left field. So I'm actually really happy to see teams like Furia and Lazarus participate within our Open Day today.
Right. To get a little bit more specific, we can talk about some of the rosters here, especially one that I really want to look at. Vizio had a lot of success in some of our recent Open tournaments, so tonight is definitely one that we'll look at as well. This time around, they've got Davis filling in instead for Phony. Now, obviously, when we talk about substitutes, you immediately think that might be a detriment, but to me, I don't think so. Vizio here, Davis and Sivers, they've got a long-standing combo. If you guys remember back, they used to play together on Elevate back when they used to host a team here in the North American region. So I think there's plenty of experience that will continue to push Vizio forward to hopefully another win here going into Open.
Yeah, I'm glad that you actually highlighted Vizio because another team here that has made a bit of a swap up, I believe, is Team Nerf with Sleepy Panda participating with RCO Esports. Force coming in for Sleepy Panda. So a bit of a roster change up here for today. I wonder how that's going to turn up for some of these teams.
I wonder if they know things, right? Yeah, obviously they have played together here on Nerf for such an extended period of time. I wonder if they've got a little bit of that mind reading behind the scenes here, as they'll know what Sleepy Panda might be getting up to when we talk about the potential here for RCO now competing against it. I don't know. It's a weird sensation, hopefully, for both of these teams here, but some knowledge that will elevate one or the other.
And you know what? Something that we should highlight here too is after the setting that the playoffs kind of put our teams in after this past weekend, you could only imagine how fired up some of these players are. They want to be able to take the opportunity, like utilizing the Series E Open to practice, to be able to pop off, to keep that momentum going as we wait for Split 2 to come up upon us.
Ooh. And you know what? I want to pick your brain. Obviously, you've had the opportunity to cover the best of the best, some of the action here this recent weekend. Let's talk about it. Is there anything in particular that you think kind of evolved out of some of these recent games that you think or may see some of these teams kind of try here going into Open tonight?
I think the one thing that's very interesting that we kind of touched up on right before jumping into the stream is team compositions varying
Right.
across different regions. And something that very much stood out to me was looking at the APAC North compositions being very Watson crypto dominated. That was some left field play there, but it was amazing to watch the difference and change up across the different regions. You had EMEA, very crypto heavy region. And then when you look at NA, I saw more Ash there than I had seen within the other few regions. So between Ash, the Lobas, also Loba being a very big staple, we saw Energy Sweet actually rocking the Loba throughout the entire time. I feel like these different compositions across the different regions are going to influence what we're going to be seeing from some of these teams who are trying out their hand on what they may feel comfortable on in a very uncomfortable setting, because you have to start somewhere here, Zephyr.
Right. And we're starting with game one here. The drop ship has already passed through, teams already on their way down to land at. And we'll see. We'll take a look and maybe get the identities of some of these teams and what their compositions will hold here as we slowly rotate through them. One thing that we didn't particularly point out that I think is a very unique point, especially when we talk about ALGS this recent weekend, is the reliance on Gibby here in the North American region. I know plenty of people are sick and tired of it, but there was a 100% presence here on Gibby in particular here. So I wouldn't be surprised, of course, to see that one kind of find its way forward, but hopefully maybe some of the influence of EMEA or APAC, like you have brought up, and the fact that they don't rely as heavily might make its own turn here. For now, though, Nerf, bit of a trade against Nightmare.
Yeah, they trade that for turns here, and they do find their way still being able to try to reset, but they have to play around the dome, and I love how you highlighted the guinea pig between that one Haley's hit. You gotta make sure to make a statement. The quick shield swap, though, hopefully they can try to get turns back in, but they see them trying to finish him off across the other side of the door. He can't get out, though. He's forced to go right underneath, but they're sandwiched between two of these squad mates.
Woo! But Fort's putting in the work here to find good response. Dimmy, the one actually to find the drop there, I believe, being that with the Mozambique. The one last standing member there on that first floor here. Fort's going to take advantage of the advantage he has here with the extra health, but has to find his way back towards the top. Second floor, this Valve flying high, but woo, not for long. Nightmare already out here. First team down.
And this is the squad that had managed to make it into that split 2 of the Pro League. That's why I love being able to see some of our squads come out to fights against some of our Series E squads, with Nerf coming on top after that fight. But I love the point that you made right before we saw that fight go down. The Gibby pick rate, of course, is something you can't ignore, which is why I love the fact that we've seen so much crypto utilized, because it forces these Gibbies to time those domes right, or else that EMP is going to be a detriment to the team fight for the squad who did use the dome first. So as we move on and we get to see teams like Intel, Loot Big Mod, they're going to have some nice guns here from the loot here to be able to actually rotate right out of this. And we saw the circle actually is going to be moving towards Harvester, and there is a beacon there. So the squad in the surrounding areas are going to be very happy to try to claim that beacon first. I believe that building, that bunker, is going to be super important to prioritize next.
Right, they have plenty of ample time to make their way over there. This is particularly one of the more, I would say, forgiving zones when we talk about the southern region. It doesn't directly pull as heavily into one of the more direct points of interest that rely on some of the positions of what be a building, like when we talk about Tree and some of those houses down there, or launch site in its own regards, right? Harvester, you have a little bit more ease of access. Granted, it can be fairly open, but once you're there, you usually get a hefty amount of teams stacked up in what I like to consider an octopus of a building. So for now, though, most teams a little slow, haven't quite made full rotation, Furia being one of them, taking their time out here towards the far west. And they have a perfect realm to make their way in at any given point. They're going to want to craft out here first. As we take a look at Rejects, looks like they're finding some knocks.
Yeah, they take out Sap, they finish that squad actually rather quick with a lot of these team fights happening earlier on in this first game. Usually a lot of these squads like to feel at the rhythm to kind of get their pacing going as the games progress. Again, there's 5 other games left other than this game here, but it's strong here looking at how some of these squads have just off the rip found these fights so quickly. And it's kind of like what you were saying, when it comes to those Harvester circles, you have a lot more options available to you since you're going to be finding yourself in most of those fights in the congested areas that lead away from that northern part of the map, as well as leaving Lava Siphon where we saw that early 50-50 go down.
Ooh, speaking of 50-50s, not much longer here for Intel's Fearless already taken out in full. Bursty on the other end of this one. You've got Team Razor contesting Mooney, not looking any better. They are able to find the revive up, but with Razor's high ground position here, they're going to be able to capitalize with a full rain of angles here. Dress taking full advantage of that with the bolt. Now going to drop down, see if he can finish this one off. He makes his way towards this building. Only the one last standing member here for Intel. Oh, right around the back.
You got nowhere to go, Mooney. I'm so sorry here. But, you know, we highlighted Gibby so much, we got to talk about that Valk pick rate. That position that Drez was able to take on that high ground for a reason here. Aside from the redeploy and, you know, got to avoid some of that lava damage by standing on top of the graves of your enemies. They're going to be able to reset after that. They have the redeployed, so that way they can get deeper into that circle. They're playing it all the way by the side of Dome, so they're going to have to pass through Lava Siphon shortly. We had seen Nightmare get taken out.
And a bit of a sad thing to say here, Intel to already go down at 17th. That's not something you want to see, especially for them. They're currently in a relegation spot, and this is kind of the overarching thing that we talk about with Series E. What Yeso actually brought up at the very beginning of the night, you play well enough, you get the opportunity to go for a full salary position here within this tournament, and if you aren't able to keep that one up, you're forced to fight for that spot. And right now, Intel, one of the 2 or I believe 3 teams that are currently not safe. So right now, 17th down, they've got plenty of time to make this one work. We've got 5 more games for them to put some points back up on the board.
Yeah, and you know, to try to touch up where our 6 Series E teams are currently situated, aside from Intel, Razor's in some trouble here. Nerf is still playing on that borderline of being unsafe here if Intel does have that one pop-off week. So as we tune into Excedrin, this is one of our squads that we were talking about earlier before. They had participated in the Challenger circuit as dumpers, and now they're still trying to reclaim a footing into this competition because they've lost some steam, but they did put on a really good show within week number 5, even though it was Excedrin week. They didn't come out on top, but they did put on quite a performance, winning a game, I believe, here too. But they're just going to have to reset here. They see that they're getting shot at in the middle of this rotation, so they just want to play this safely because they do know where that next circle is going to be pulling.
Right. It's quite a wide area to play through. I personally like the building that they were currently at before they had made the rotation down through that tunnel. Now, granted, it's something that you are going to have to hold on to with a tight grasp because plenty of teams definitely look for it, as it is one of the more notable spots, especially if the zone does tend to pull out towards that hill. But granted, it's not in the most of confirmed positions right now, so maybe not putting all your eggs in one basket, especially if it works its way out towards Harvester. For Nerf here, a nice drop from afar, Cryptic down, Dimmy with the wingman exchanged that one out here. Malago coming through and continuing to put this one down. Turns now picking up another member.
I love the contention from Dimmy. Dimmy is so scary with that wingman, but looks straight at that charge rifle, still trying to take some shots. Said, I'm not scared of this. Force also has that charge rifle, so they're going to be able to answer back, force them to actually linger back. But look at that crack. It forces out the dome already with these teams trying to situate themselves right on the high ground around Harvester.
And the craziest thing, you got Turns top fragger here for the Nerf team. We didn't get the opportunity to see it because their cams weren't on it, but that man dropped personally to make quick work of that L building, picking up 2 here for Nerf as they currently hold themselves continually up on this high ground. A complete separation for there because of the Wraith being as strong as it is there for rotation. And Dimmy still trying to put that one down from afar.
I love the aggression too. I like these off angles that we're seeing because you can see Nerf, they have such a good position on this bridge. But this is what I was talking about before. The redeploys to get into these circles now are going to try to contest Nerf for this same exact spot because we've seen circles sometimes pull out into the open south of Harvester.
Right. And that major, secondary track can definitely be very good. We do get the notion, though, here, now as we pull towards, my apologies, Lazarus, that we will be seeing the circle pull up more directly into the Harvester region. So the bridge that we currently see Nerf on, not going to be available or within play. Granted, still, Lazarus, they've got a great sight line here. They want to take advantage of it while they can, but they are set up for the appropriate rotation. You can see the split of their squad, too, already in zone, just waiting for when Nerf has to make their way down and try to fight their way into that region. Yeah, that building that we talked about fairly early on when we looked at Excedrin, it is going to be directly in play. The circle is going to be pulling out towards the west of Harvester here, so you've got a split, especially towards some of those chokes that you currently see Furia at, as well as the ones to the north, but also, of course, the Octopus that I like to regard.
Oh yeah, and you can see that that beacon building is inside that next circle too, so that's going to be so important depending on which squad is going to be able to prioritize that beacon control. But we've seen this circle while it pulls off to the west of Harvester, that hilltop that overlooks the vault tunnel is going to be heavily contested, but that is going to be the best spot since that's going to provide the high ground for that next circle. Now teams like Excedrin, not too sure if they have the intel for where that circle is going to be pulling, but you see the pings, you see currently Kim Chi Lee, he's just dwelling back a little bit while Cruisin still puts on some pressure onto the squads that are still lingering by tree.
Right, and they have fairly all the energy in the world to play this one out as far edge as they can here, protecting their backside, especially if they're going to rotate out here through the west up into the choke that kind of leads towards that hill there. They want to make sure that they're clear, right? They don't have anyone from their backside here, and that's why they're taking advantage of the time that they have available for now. And it looks like they're going to try to capitalize in full here. Actually go for the full rotation in directly to tree. See if they can pick up this opposing team before they make their way out or take advantage of their reposition here.
A little scared here, though. We did see a lot of contention on that bridge. Worried here that Excedrin may be gate kept because Lazarus is on the other side of Team Nerf who are holding onto the bridge, but they want to fully send it. Maybe they could find a pinch here with the squad that's up ahead. They also have the portal, so they could go for a quick reposition if necessary.
I gotta say, it plays directly into the comp. One of the most aggressive three-mans that you can get, with the combination being that of the Bloodhound in the play here. And finds the scam, but can't quite find the damage. Enemy forced to put himself back down here behind the rock as Excedrin, like you said just a moment ago, having some troubles finding their way past the direct front here that we saw teams like Nerf, like Lazarus hold on to for so long. And they're going to go directly for the low ground. They do have that cart available directly to the front of them, but it is currently contested, so not quite as nice a route for them as you can see there. And take a look at We Touch Grass. They're finding their own knocks.
Yeah, actually, they saw that Bonitoni was in trouble in the zone, but they had that gold backpack, so they wanted to keep sending out this fight. Saw earlier on with Bonitoni had gone down to the circle originally. He's actually going to go down again. Yeah, he is, and so he is going to get rezzed up again with another gold backpack. But Vizio, they're in the god spot that we were talking about before. This is the hill right outside of that vault tunnel that's going to be great for this next circle. It's going to be contested. Actually, in a very similar way within the Pro League, ESA with Verhost actually was able to reclaim this spot when they had a similar circle to leave Harvester. So we're seeing that now displayed here with Vizio having not only a great loot drop with the 2 purple, 1 gold onto Fury, but they also have the black market in case they need any more loot, which it doesn't look like they do.
No. And if you remember when we looked at the circle a moment ago here, obviously things can change, but a majority of the teams are located directly in the Harvester. So while usually I would be a little bit more sketch regarding how well a team can hold on to that hillside, given it can be as useful as it is, we know that there's only maybe 1 or 2 rosters that will present themselves in as that one closes in. So for now, they're actually in a really nice spot just due to that fact alone. The squads here at Harvester, they're going to have to fight each other, just like we're seeing right now. It's Trash trying to take advantage of that Craver. Can't quite line it up yet, though.
Yeah, it's kind of what you were saying. It's just so many squads have already infiltrated Harvester. They know that the more noise they make, that there's going to be more squads coming up on their 6. You can see the repositioning now coming in from some of these squads with the portal. But they're in between 3 squads. They have the Kraber, but if Pyro doesn't get something going here, try to capitalize off a knock like we just saw Nuke do, now this is the opportunity with Messiah going down.
Maybe not quite the Kraber, but the charge rifle can put that one down. Remember, it is 2 separate squads potentially pumping in the damage there. Now, there is no fall through. We did just see the back end of that dome tick down, so you know that's completely off cooldown if you want to make something happen here. But Pyro playing ends against the middle, making sure the backside here is covered. We know that Harvester is completely full to the brim from what we saw earlier, so you can't quite go for the full throw just yet.
Yeah, that's why you see the patience, too. I like this passive play, but they're still trying to put in some pokes. You see them now closing in the gap as Pyro tries to take a different angle with this Kraber. Can he find more success here? I like the patience. He's just waiting for one person to poke. Meanwhile, we touch grass, take the portal back. Rock now just having to play behind the crates, but they want to capitalize. It looks like that player, it was going to be Wave actually who goes down. You saw the shield bat being popped there in that moment too, so we touched grass. They were in that fight for a while. You can see the pings going down too, as another squad has now rolled in from underneath the tunnel.
I believe... I'll hold on my point here for just a moment, but I'm pretty sure that might have been Vizio trying to find a rotation up towards the tracks there, and it was... my apologies. The team that we just saw here that actually took that one away from them in those moments there. We touch grass. So not completely confirmed as of yet, but Vizio might just be out of that one there. I know we saw Scissors and Fury fall. Correct me if I'm wrong, but for holding on to a God spot for so long, it looks like they took quite the aggressive turn to find themselves forward different positions.
They did have a redeploy available, so I'm wondering if they were just forced out in that situation. We're gonna have to see now as we tune into Trash, who are still holding on to this high ground. This is a squad that has not been contested, but you can see the patience from Pyro. He's been taking these shots with the Kraber, but just has not found much success despite that. He's been holding every single corner down too, and he knows that there's a squad off to his left, but they don't want to give off this high ground. They know the moment that the circle is going to be pulling in, they don't have the intel to where that beacon is going to take them, so they feel comfortable just holding this spot for now.
Right, because obviously you have the high ground to play with, but the fact that you have the opportunity to rotate forward here, potentially play on the upper end of where that beacon is currently stationed for the further future, especially if this zone begins to pull out even further towards the west and you've got teams forced to cycle their way into where you currently see what I believe is Razor, where they're at right now. That can be especially important. That's why we currently don't see any kind of movement from them whatsoever, because they will be forced to fight here. The minute we see rounds 5 and 6 begin to close and provide the chokehold here on these teams that forces them to be more direct with each other, then that will definitely be more prevalent. Redeploy, though, coming out there from Razor. Here's to see where they may land. They do have the opportunity to mirror their position here that we just saw only a second ago, but instead, they're going to be finding themselves even further towards the north.
They're landing, I think, right in front of Lazarus, too. Oh, that was so scary. Razor, look at Tress's health. Right at how that redeployed. There you go. And now the circle's closing up from right underneath him. We don't see where it's pulling, but again, we were highlighting that cliffside, that high ground. But they've used up the dome. They have another squad right up on the high ground overlooking them. But what do you do in this situation, Zephyr?
Nowhere to go. That's what happens here in Drisev. Now the only one left standing, completely pinched, not just from what is above, but the team that currently resides here directly above them in that car. Rejects, this is the squad that was able to pick up a majority of those kills there, or at least the knocks that presented themselves from that rotation. Trash, though, still in a good spot here as we take a look back towards them. The squads that were forced to make their moves out from the south end of Harvester aren't quite pressed just yet, but now in that center second floor here, Trash might have to pull the trigger at some point, because if they don't, then this will obviously lead to a potential third party for any squad that might have the opportunity to slide up fairly quickly when they are forced to fight with the zone close. Esports.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to keep this spot, because they don't want to get pinched, and they know that the only squad behind them is the squad that's holding
Gotta
the
take
high
it.
ground on the other side of Harvester. Yeah, that's why they keep aiming down their sights to put in some pressure, because this squad right behind them, they know, they've heard the Kraber shots coming out from Pyro. May not have landed just yet, but it's okay. Right when you need it, you get the knock onto Cruisin', and now they have the number advantage in the fight.
Already here to follow that one up. Wingman's out. A separate knock found. One last member remaining here to find the full wipe. But Trash, they're far too low from the extended trade. It wasn't as clean as they would have liked. And for what started so good from such a clean shot from the Kraber there, ends in potentially defeat as Pyro is forced to run away. And the craziest part of all is RCO, they're a two-man roster.
I know, it's actually crazy, because the entire time that Trash played that high ground, they didn't fully send it on the other team because they didn't want another squad to actually pinch them, to take that spot away from them. And of course, the moment they get into that fight, it's RCO that wait on the timing to push in for that fight. So now RCO capitalizing on that as a duo, and now look at this, literally vibing with the schmoops. They come in with the redeploy, they kind of linger a little bit outside of the northern part of Harvester, and they try to take this exact space. It's not free real estate when it comes to literally vibing here.
Literally vibing, though. They made short work of that rotation fairly quickly. Curious to see if they're able to continue holding on to that high ground there. The round, though, gonna force them down low here. J-Ron already taken out. Musin not looking any better here, as that will be it for vibing, as Splash are gonna be the ones to pick that one up. You've got that defensive bombardment down. They themselves don't have to use their own just yet, but look at how this zone is tolling. It's definitely nothing good for Splash. They'll be forced to walk completely out into the open behind the points that they hold right there behind the crates. And Furia, they've got more than a good spot available.
Oh yeah, they got the entire Pride Rock to look at these last
crazy.
two remaining squads. Yeah, this is the end game right now, as Fury is going to be trying to fully send it. Demi on the other side of that rock, but
They're
putting
super
themselves
split, though.
in the line of sight of all these other squads. Yeah, the last two remaining squads, they're in their line of sight.
This is a big move from Fury, and yes, they find the initial knock here on Demi, but they look low in response. Defensive bombardment dome down here, of course, for Nerf to make sure that they get their third member back up. But look at Boom, no better, no worse there. I will say I'd be careful here. If Fury pulls something like a stretch like that again, they could potentially capitalize. But now Splash looking to take advantage of the damage. Now that the defensive bombardment is down, start this fight off. And I can tell you right now, Furia will be in shortly. The visit that will provide here is two members remaining. Fury, they've got no work ahead.
Oh yeah, they do, and they have the way better armor too. There are the winners for game number 1. They just looked way better than Splash, though. Splash was on another run to replicate what they had done in just last week's Series E Open. They were the winners of week number 5 during Excedrin Week, and meanwhile, they are here to try to replicate that. But Furia, they just look so much better in terms of their positioning, in terms of their armor for that last game. You saw at the very last fight that they try to separate themselves. They saw the situation, so they backed off. They waited for that last fight to then restabilize, to then go in and clean up Splash.
Right, had the whole area to themselves, and when they finally saw Splash making the moves there, they knew it was one quick step to find another victory for themselves here. But that's just game 1. Plenty of more action to behold. But before we do that, we're going to be going towards a short break. When we come back, we'll be bringing you our Mobile One leaderboard to sum up the action.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Hit the bars of the breaks. I'm talking one chance at episode, go for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
country.
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
Refreshing, refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. They're all our top flavored smash.
It's fruit freshin'.
Coming off a 14th place finish at the ALGS playoffs this past Sunday, Furia take the win in game number 1. Of course, some familiar faces on that roster with Tech, Mr. Hakulo, and our old friend Zara Tricky as well. Congratulations to them. A good start to the night here, and I'll certainly have them near the top of that Mobile 1 leaderboard when we go back to Zephyr and Vicky. But before we do that, let's check out our first player of the game for tonight's competition. We'll pull this one up for you, and it is going to go to Zara here. 4 kills and an assist and over 1,900 damage. Playing the Fuse, a character that is very, very rare these days, especially in competitive play. If you did watch the ALGS playoffs on Sunday, we did see quite a bit of character diversity. We're seeing a lot more teams pick up the Loba like we commonly see from Vizio. The Ash has been coming out. There was even some Bloodhound and a couple of other uncommon, I would say, legends in the mix based on the current meta. But Fuse is one that we almost never see, but I love getting to see the teams mix things up, try some different compositions, and I'm a big fan of Fuse myself, and it certainly worked out there for Zera and the Furia squad in game number 1 because they grabbed that win, and they'll be feeling good as they start the day strong. We are going to go to a break. Before we do that, though, do want to remind you folks, while we, of course, enjoy putting on all these online tournaments and events for all of you, we, of course, are still open all across the country, and we would love for you to come in and hang out with us. Whether you want to play some Apex, some Halo, any of your other favorite titles, you can come and play with us at Esports Arena. Use exclamation point locations in Twitch chat right now. You can get the link that you need to find an Esports Arena near you, and we'll see you soon. We are going to go to that break right now, but when we come back, Zephyr and Vicky will get you ready for game 2. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Eat, Speak, Compete.
Eat, speak, compete.
Yes. What have you been playing this week?
More evolving. Guys,
Somebody say another booster box.
Yeah, right?
I'm not excited for the release of New Worlds.
But when you look at the Hallmark titles of the last decade, it feels like they are finally ready.
They finished strong.
Like 35-2.
And I just typed dance ? And put maybe Kyle, if you're watching, just put like a red alarm or whatever in my hand right here. Pause and go watch it, or you can just skip the rest of it. We're gonna talk about it. Final spoiler warning. Lou.
Oh yeah.
The little web slinger.
I literally feel like it's a guaranteed flop.
Follow us on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, or if you want to see our gorgeous faces, we're over on YouTube. Just search Esports Arena.
Dang. That's super fun sounding.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome.
That sounds super fun. I think that
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Series E. We're still bringing you that open action that I know you've been waiting all week here for, coming off the trail of a big Furio win here outside of that Harvester region. Took advantage of some great plays, made that one work for themselves.
Oh yeah, I liked seeing Zero pop off on the fuse. He was rocking the fuse all within the ALGS playoffs for NA2. I believe the only player too that was able to get as much success on the fuse. But I like the representation that we're seeing here from Furia, and I like the fact that Furia have stuck to their guns with this composition.
And you know what? If it works, it works. If it ain't break, what is the saying? If it ain't broke, well, then you just don't fix it. Terrible English aside, let's move this one forward. The Mobile One leaderboard, it's awaiting us, and I'll tell you what, numbers are far easier to understand compared to whatever comes out of my map. Surprisingly, Furia has still with the first place victory, only 19 points. Those behind them not too far.
Yeah, actually, look how close it is between Furia and Team Splash, and then right behind them, Team Nerf. The only slight gap that we really have is between third to fourth place for Rejects, sitting with 10 points in comparison to Team Nerf 16 points. But I like how close the competition has been so far, because that further highlights that Team Splash, although they didn't get the win, they were fragging out. They were able to secure a good amount of KP, aside from not clutching out that very last fight, because they were low on health when Furia had the opportunity to go in for that third party between Splash and Nerf.
And I know you love Splash talking about Open here recently, but my focus will always be on Nerf, especially since when we talk about Pro Night, you know, what's going to be taking place tomorrow, wink, wink for any of you watching, they were the ones to stay in a consistent, happy second place here for the last 2 weeks. Haven't been able to surpass G2 just yet, but goes to show that this team has a lot more behind them. And while we haven't quite seen it in Open, it still leaves a realm of fear for what they could potentially pull out at a moment's notice. So third, that's already a great place for them to be in comparison to what we usually see out of them when we talk about Open.
Yeah, I really like that storyline too, because when we were talking about the teams that are kind of in that border red line in the overall standings within our open teams, you talk about Intel, you talk about Razer, but Nerf is right there on the border too, so they are able to turn that around here in the open.
Right. To be more specific, I think they're literally only 4 points away from being knocked out of contest there. So the fact is they've still got to fight just as hard here to compare with some of these other teams. And starting with Open Night would definitely be a great place, right? I mean, I think it's crazy that you can take the time to show up. But speaking of showing up here, let's look at our high performance moment, our Mobile One here. And no surprise, it's the final takes of the game.
Yeah, Mobile One high performance moment is going to have to be Messiah trying to go in with the flank, but this is the moment here where while Splash was busy here trying to find Nerf, we saw exactly what happened on the other side of the Pride Rock with Furia having the opportunity. You can see Zero also taking an off angle, and Furia, I like the way that they played this rock because they didn't all charge in. They surrounded the rock so that way they split the focus of Splash in two different directions, and in that last moment you could see kind of the face of Splash understanding, oh, wait, Furia, they backed off. They looked like they were going to go in for this fight, but they saw the opportunity to back off, disengage, and wait for Splash to get those knocks before moving in to take them too.
I gotta say, it's a bit of a shame too, because Splash looked so good into that final fight there, into the third, and had they had maybe one more member up, I won't say they could have potentially pulled out the win, but after what we've seen from them here in these recent weeks, it might have been a possibility. Now, though, we look towards game two, potentially a realm for them to prove themselves. They've already shown that they can make it to the top three. Let's see if they could potentially pull off a victory this time around.
Especially since that gap between first and second place are just a point away. It's nothing, exactly. So, you know, game number one has left it up for our top three squads to try to close things off into each other, especially since Furia was able to take that first win. We're tuning into Furia as they are our first game winners. And look at this circle. We are traveling all the way to the west. You can see it's surrounding staging, though, but that's really going to help out Team Splash in the long run since that's exactly where they drop.
Right, and you got teams like Excedrin not too far away, and Furia are winners from last game, also in a nice region themselves, just a click down from Countdown Vizio right below them here. To talk a little bit more about this circle, obviously, you've got staging, major point of interest, but I love the verticality that kind of comes into play when we talk about the train line that splits this circle right through the middle here. Definitely something that you'll look at with most teams trying to hold on to dear life for it. Past that, you've got the far out west. Most of the buildings out there can be definitely very good. You just maybe want to stick away from the valley that goes the horizontal split here.
Yeah, because, you know, you could see right here on the other side of those train tracks that the circle may be pulling all the way west, but with that beacon being over at staging and Splash having that priority, they know where this next circle is pulling. They know where they want to situate themselves if it's going to be on the high ground that overlooks that geyser. Now, Precision Gaming, though, in an early fight themselves, we saw a lot of action in the early game for game number 1, and it looks like it's not slowing down anytime soon.
We'll see if they can make their namesake shine here as RG trying to follow this one up, and it's not going to be him. It's Bucky from afar to keep that one down. The dome already out there. I like the follow through with the ordinances to pressure the revive from not coming through there. See if they can find the last 2 standing members here as the hunt continues on.
See, too, that they're already rocking that R9 with the purple mag for Charlie, so they're feeling very comfortable off the rip as now they travel to No Name to try to find those last 2 stragglers. It looks like that's exactly where they're trying to rotate, but with all that noise, see Trash here all the way on the other side of East Fragment, they are hearing some of this action going down, and they could potentially start rotating that direction unless they want to prioritize the beacon. But let's not ignore the fact that we have Mirage on Trash. So when we talk about these compositions, we talk about Furia with the fuse. I mean, I guess we're just going to get a taste of everything here, Zephyr.
I don't like how it tastes. I mean, I don't know what it tastes like at this point here. It hasn't looked good, and if Trash can make this one work, I don't think they should be called Trash anymore, all right? I think that's my 2 cents regarding it.
Got to go for that name change, Trash. We got our eyes on you with that Mirage pick, and I like how quickly they're just trying to rotate off to the side here, trying to see if anybody else has looted the other side of Fragment. But they do have a beacon, at least on the high ground, and at the moment, Pyro, as we saw Pyro taking in some of those shots earlier with the Kraber, we could see a bit of a composition change where Jelly now, this time, is on the raise.
Hard stuck here, going directly to the position that we discussed quite a bit at the start of this game. They're actually going to pull out towards the ridge here, right up against the wall into some of these buildings. I really like this one in particular, especially the inside here. Usually becomes a high priority for a lot of teams, especially because it overlooks both areas here. Not just the geyser that it sits right ahead of, but also staging. And depending on where the circle actually closes out, you have the opportunity to rotate either out towards the west or more directly into the point of interest. So that's why you tend to see teams put themselves here as early as it is.
Yeah, we see this a lot, too, within half of these rotations where this congested spot, usually south of this exact location, can get pretty crazy pretty quickly, especially looking at some of our squads like Etc. that are rotating away from Thermal, rotating away from that southern point. MBS now in another fight themselves. They're looking over that squad here that is taking over Fragment East. They also have that beacon control, something that MBS doesn't have, and they don't like how these trades are going. They may have to redeploy to get out of here.
I don't think they're too scared just yet there. Taking a good angle to potentially see if they can find something for themselves there. They get a little bit of read, but they don't actually follow through with any kind of poke or damage just yet. So maybe just kind of playing the quiet mouse, want to take advantage of complete control of that beacon, knowing that they have the safe opportunity to rotate forward there, because I'm pretty sure we saw that team find its way out towards the tunnel there.
MBS doesn't even have redeploy. They actually had already used it to get exactly to where they're at. Meanwhile, Furia is in some trouble with Zera actually going down. That's the lack of fuse that Furia is going to have now as Trash, the squad that was taking some shots, and MBS right behind them are in that fight earlier on, right up ahead. It looks like they were caught in the middle of their rotation towards Landslide, but now with this fight here, Vizio, another squad fighting. So much early fighting in general, but Vizio is one of those squads that are rocking the Loba. They found success. They have 2 gold Evo shields in the process now as they chase down this squad that have forced themselves down on the low ground.
Meanwhile there, keep y'all updated. It does look like Trash was able to find the full take here onto the Precision roster. That was the team that we saw fairly early on make their way out towards that no-name village. It looks like they were stopped in their tracks before they could actually make their way through the tunnel there. So big success found as now we look towards Reject. They're picking up their own kills here. Still sitting in that fissure area. Got a ways to go in terms of finding position in terms of circle, but I'll take 3 kills. KP still counts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially looking at this composition that they're rocking. They got the KP. They also have a beacon right next to them here in Fisher. So they have the redeploy. They have the beacon control. They have the extra loot. They're looking fantastic as they're rocking the 2 big boys. So their next plan here is to prioritize that final circle position so that way they're not caught off guard and they can utilize that caustic fully.
Ooh, Lazarus here, stuck. Haven't quite found their way through just yet. I believe they might be taking on one of the squads we just saw here a moment ago. Dank forced to go for the full bat here. Good defense found there in response with that dome coming down, but that'll be out here as now these teams will be forced to fight mano a mano. Bize sliding around the back there. The Peacekeeper can't quite find what he wants, but Jelly is, of course, down. Gonna keep this one alive here as Nuke will fall as well. Only one last remaining member here alive, and that'll be it for the Trash roster, I believe.
Yeah, so they were able to clean that up. It was Lazarus that squad had tried to take the high ground on those rocks over, but Lazarus, with this fight, they didn't end it as quickly as they may have liked because the third party is now rolling in. Hopefully they can reset in time, and it looks like they are going to have that time. They also have that gold backpack that they're rocking with, too, thanks to that fight.
So now looking fairly well here to continue to defend what is this choke. It's one of the major ones that prevents at least most squads from coming out to the north. I say this, but given that Valkyrie's such a heavy handle on the metal right now, no one's really choked out, especially on some of these early zones. But still, they hold. They play edge. They try to pick up the KP that it may find its way forward if any squad tries to at least work their way through that tunnel into the landslide area. Back towards Vizio, though, they haven't quite given up this position here on the center line. Definitely is one of the better spots that you can find yourself. It isn't in the realm of staging directly, but what I love about this spot is it does give you the opportunity to potentially kind of find your way out through the north there instead of fighting directly into where most of the action actually usually is when we talk about those teams that find themselves directly into the point of interest. And that's where you actually see Vizio starting to kind of stretch themselves forward here. A few weeks ago in Pro, we actually saw Team Liquid pick up a win here from this cart directly as the zone closed in position.
Yeah, you know, aside from Vizio trying to get Exodia on board with these 3 Evo shields, but they also have so many options available to them just because of holding this spot alone. Now, Intel, though, they're the ones still fighting down here in the south thermal station. This is where Excedrin usually lands here, but RCO, this is the squad that goes down. This is the squad that Intel has run into while they rotate over by the southern part of the map. They're actually going to approach that next choke point that leads off to the side of Geyser, where we sometimes see a beacon currently located, so maybe Intel playing much more of a edge of circle squad more than anything.
Hey, you know what? I'm happy for it. Intel here, they need it more than anybody. Haven't quite found their footing in any of our recent match histories here at Series E. So the fact that at least they're picking up one squad to potentially push themselves up against the rest is better than recent. Vizio, they've made their way out even further from the position that they've held originally here. Fury then trying to take advantage of Landslide, one of the most aggressive areas to be when we talk about World's Edge, and aren't quite able to do so. Wave still trying to set that one up, but that Therma gonna push them back.
Force them out of the dome, force them to hold back, and they're still hitting with a barrage of grenades. Scissors in danger, but they pulled off the shield cells. Again, they have the gold Evo, so they can restabilize quickly, but they're not even getting the opportunity.
You should have stuck by the cart there. Maybe it was the read of circle that pushed them out forward here. Just a bit of greed, potentially, when we talk about the presence of kills. And now Wave down there. Scissors going to be able to take advantage of this one. No squad really able to approach this fight appropriately. Thankfully, the landslide area, it doesn't provide a lot of cover, right? And because of that, you have the opportunity to potentially, you know, capitalize on the fact that teams can't quite rotate as much as they would have likes. So Vizio, they're going to find themselves back up onto some semblance of health here. They're not quite back where they once were, but should be able to find their way there at any given moment. For now, though, they keep their kind of aggressive foot forward here, looking to take advantage, gatekeep those who try to find their way into the at least central end of where this zone will close.
Yeah, and with this reset that they were able to get, and now the black market on top of that to try to clean up any loot from these death boxes up ahead in landslide that they can't overcommit, they're looking fantastic. I believe I saw Wave with a mobile respawn beacon that's now on the floor since it was in the weekly rotation just last week. And Intel, there's nothing stopping them. They've just been having non-stop action, leaving the southern part of the map, finding themselves in another fight here.
And this is this major building that we talk about that a lot of teams like to hold on to. Intel trying to take it away. They didn't actually rotate out through the west. They went directly into the heat of the action. You see that star down from below. Mooney defending is able to find the knockdown around as Fearless comes up through the backside to clean house on this one and make sure that they're going to be the ones in advantage here.
Now they're the ones that have control over the house that we were talking about that overlooks so much of the high ground for where this circle is going to be pulling. Again, that beacon's off to the right, but here comes the third party to move in. Intel has not been able to reset yet.
Oh, and now with both domes down, they find their way forward, and Fearless here can't quite defend. It's the CCE roster. My apologies, Nightmare coming through there in their own regard. So a third party that will permit them into one of the better positions here for the final endings of these zones.
Yeah, Nightmare popping up. You see Chris getting those double knocks here. Splash, though, just left with Blight. Look at all these grenades. Is this a fourth party moving?
This is a fourth party.
The fifth party with Excedrin. Excedrin's like, wait, hold up, guys. You guys are going to fight on our turf? Like, we are just down south by Thermal Station, and this is what's going to happen? Nah, not on our watch. And now they clean up and look at all the loot that they have to work with.
All right, so to clarify, Nightmare comes out on top, but not for long. Splash finds its way in, and not for long. It's suddenly Excedrin out of nowhere to keep the action going. Speaking of action, We Touch Grass just barely holding through here on the far northern end. Moosin's going to go down there, give Rock Monkey potentially the time to heal up, but meanwhile, he's losing the rest of his parties across the board here.
Absolutely. And they're on the knockout shield, but they surrounded the building. CCC now have moved in, and now they have everything to prevent the reset from happening. The two knocks, what can you do as a solo in this situation?
Not much. Just pray they can't quite sniff you out there. So for now, they don't have any idea, but no! It's D's! D's finds this one, and with Nobu just a click away, and with an Arc Star down, they'll take full advantage there of their little rat that they're keeping pet below.
Oh man, what a way. What's so much action already in this middle part of the game here, Zephyr. 9 squads left, and it's been so much action from the northern part of the circle all the way down south for a lot of our squads rotating through Thermal. Now CCC, they're going to be able to traverse through these train tracks. You were talking a little bit about this before too, as it does split where this circle is going to be pulling, and Rejects have a great spot actually here on the high ground. This is exactly the same spot that we were talking about when we were looking at Vizio make the decision on whether they wanted to stay here or rotate through the north.
I'm curious to see where Vizio has ended up now, though. You know, this is what they held on to for quite some time. And yeah, while they extend out to north, they might be rotating into the lower end there of the valley, which is can be good, but if the zone pulls out more towards the buildings in the south, that's when you have the opportunity to capitalize. Rejects, though, they've got full range here of the low ground. This is why this spot is so advantageous for them. And I think we got a bit of a separation. Young maybe looking to follow up directly.
See, he's taking an angle here, but he's getting shot at. You see the barrage now coming in too. If super risky, he's forced to back off. He can hopefully pop his shield back with another squad right under 6, making the rotation, potentially either holding that spot or maybe moving in to go in for a third party, as Rejects have been holding this spot for so long. Even a crate officer left with a power weapon could change the tides here, but with Rejects using it as bait, it's going to be so difficult for any of these spots to find that opportunity now, as Lazarus have been taken out. They've been eliminated. As Furia now have moved in, and Razor too, another squad that has taken them out and has been able to reset.
Right, looks like we get a bit of mix there. Razor, of course, holding out towards the second floor of that bridge that you see a few squads try to at least stay alive upon. I don't think it's one of the best positions, but it lasts, especially going into rounds 4. But once the zones closes in, you're forced to drop on the low ground, which can be very, very weak here. And I believe Furia, if I had to make a prediction, is pulling out a little bit more towards the staging area. That would only explain the angle that they had here. Spacelander, one of the few squads, though, coming in fairly late. They find their way onto the high ground, surprised that no team is currently holding on to any length of the train yard that presents itself up here. This is usually a very nice spot, especially for further rotation.
Yeah, but looking at their damage that they've been able to do, it looks like they've been taking this slowly. Meanwhile, Splash, this was a squad that was also finding themselves in non-stop action, but CCC, they came out, they clean up Blight, and now with this composition, with the Cossack, they're going to prevent any third party from rolling in while they try to reset, and this is a great spot for them too, because sometimes we have seen the circle kind of pull up north from where this building is, saw it within the, I believe, the second or third week of the EMEA Pro League, and that's exactly what was super lethal here when it came to some squads holding up to that billboard high ground area.
Well, it's a bit of a problem, though, as the circle is pulling out of the Geyser region directly. And most of the squads that have been here in staging have already a full sight line on you whence you are going to be, and as the zone is definitely choking them out here, are going to be forced to rotate through. Furia, one of the few squads that actually was on the low end there across the way, is Razor taking advantage of their sight line, able to pick off Tech there in full force.
And with that off angle that they have, they're all over by the other side. You can see Razor is having a field day, but that high ground where those billboards are, that's what I was referring to before. Yeah. Sometimes we've seen some redeploys actually take the full high ground right above where Excedrin is, but this is where you want to be here. And Excedrin, they've already taken the real estate here on top of this high ground, or rather these rocks on the high ground, with a squad hugging the inside of that cart we were talking about before, but it was a squad that has full blue evos. Look at this angle, and the enemy's just going to get that for free onto Birdman. No repositioning whatsoever.
And now a quick cleanup here as Excedrin find their way initially to take what is that one knock. The last remaining member running for the hills there. Looks like they dropped directly into staging to save the rest of their life. Meanwhile, it only took 2. Excedrin, they still hold on to the building out here, tipped against the wall. The 5th party that we saw very early on.
Look at this graveyard. Look at all these dead boxes. It's actually
so
insane.
Stupid.
The amount of fighting that was done in this building for a good reason too. You were highlighting it perfectly. This building is easily contested for these circles because of the positioning. You can see everything from here, and that's why Excedrin has been king of the hill in this hill in particular for so long. But Cruisin taking some shots at that, as that squad that's still in the high ground is overlooking where Excedrin is.
Rejects, one of the few squads that are in a bit of the mixed position here on staging. It's a high ground that at least gives you advantage over this POI especially, but when you are forced to rotate directly onto the track, suddenly you're on a low ground of sorts here as you're forced to fight your way up into what we see currently held by Excedrin. So while it may work out for them right now and how they're able to play king of the hill from those that sit below them here on staging, once the zone may force them out or forward, I don't think it will look as good. Young Pop Tart, though, you see already setting up for a different angle that might provide some advantage once they are forced to rotate.
Yeah, with this high ground that Rejects is holding, they have Razor in their line of sight. They see that rat right below them. They see Excedrin, who's been trying to poke at them with Patty. He had gotten it down earlier on Boom Chakalaka, and now Excedrin with their backs against the ring here. This is a tough spot to be, especially when they're getting bombarded with some of these grenades. It looks like also it's low on some health here, but they're finally going to be able to take some shots. Look at those angles. Look at the opportunity with the window providing them those shots, those line of sights that they need. Furia is still alive, by the way, with Tech having to play from the low ground too. And Boom Shakalaka did manage to restabilize after getting knocked.
They do have the cart directly in front of them to play once this ring forces them out here from, I believe, the last source of high ground that exists. But once they're down on that track, things are definitely a lot more balanced. I believe there's still a squad directly, right there to their left that will fight them out here the minute they drop. And that could be potentially the end here for Excedrin if they aren't able to pull that one out as clean as they like.
Yeah, I believe that's CCC, and that's a squad that has been fighting their way from the northern part all the way to still stay situated there, but they're getting shot at, and so is Excedrin taking their shots at them, but they're getting pressured off by the squad that's in the cart. They can utilize this truck here, but with the final ring closing, they're going to have to give up this space soon, fully send it on CCC.
They have to find this fight successfully, or this will be it here for the Excedrin squad. Young Pop-Tart, by the way, still willing to play third fiddle here on this side, take advantage of the action that will find its way successful here for Excedrin. They are looking low. The dome's going to give them the opportunity, though, to find the full bat, as we do see that gas start to tick them down. Rejects, surprisingly, from their central position all the way in zone, taking advantage of the entire source of action here against the Ridge.
Oh, you saw right here, Kimchi Lee has gone down to the bombardment. The ring has helped take out Excedrin. The pressure with Rejects now moving in for the opportunity. This is a squad that was still in that cart for so long. Meanwhile, Furia still fighting from the low ground, and Razor has not left the bridge at all. Since that middle part of this game, they have not given up this space.
Now this is fairly interesting. That defensive bombardment, it will pressure both of these squads. The one directly above, more notably there, is curious if they're going to have that dome available. Nope, there it is, right there at that moment. That will then, now as this ring closes in, what's going to happen is Razor's going to be forced to fight Furia first here, and then hopefully the health of the drop that will come through from above will give Rejects the opportunity to find the win here. They're already throwing
this
gas
is such a this is giving me PTSD after seeing that moment of TSM Imperial Howl utilizing the face to try to deliver properly here. But look, as the circle closes in, they're gonna have to give up the high ground eventually. See Razor now dancing around these domes, but with Drez being on this Valk, he could delay the inevitable. Look at young Pop-Tart. The skies are congested now as Razor has lost Fearing lives.
And Rejects, no surprise, they're the ones to hold on to the high ground for as long as they did, and they'll pick up our win here coming out of Game 2.
Look at the positioning that Rejects had, too. That high ground that they had, they forced Excedrin off when the ring was pressuring Excedrin into Rejects' line of sight. That's a squad that also was holding on to that train cart for so long, so amazing patience going in favor for Rejects for taking that second game.
Well, we'll see how they'll fare here. Definitely plenty of points still on the board. It doesn't look anything similar to the action we saw out of Game 1, so I don't know what or who will stand on top of them all. Only the Mobile One leaderboard will be able to explain that one. As for us, though, here on Desk, we're going to be going towards a short break, bringing you that information once we come back around.
What's up, guys? Tyler Endress, CEO and founder of Esports Arena. And did you know that Esports Arena is located inside Walmarts all throughout the country? We're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now at one of our awesome Walmart stores. Let's go take a look. Fantastic, right? So typically in the front of the store, you see we got a Subway here, you got some Walmart services, but right there is the Tulsa Esports Arena. Right up front. So literally, if you're just doing some grocery shopping, you're gonna check out over here. Simple as that, or you could check out right in here. We've got Calvin, my man Calvin right here. Hey, yo, log me in on station number 8.
You got it, Tyler.
All right, I'm getting logged in. We're going to go play some video games. Look at that. The best video cards in the industry. The best CPUs in the industry. The best gaming chairs in the industry, the best Razer peripherals in the industry, the best monitors that let you hit that 200 frames per second in the industry, no screen tearing whatsoever. All right here at Esports Arena. Now I'd let you keep following me along, but I got a tournament to play tonight, so I'm gonna get some practice in.
Not the start we are used to seeing from our partnered squads here, as it's back-to-back wins from the open teams to kick off open night here tonight. Welcome back, everybody. Rejects take the win there in game number 2, and a bit of chaos there in that final circle, but they do come out of the fray on top, so well done to them. Of course, nobody was able to eclipse that 20-point mark in the first game, and things were very tight at the top of the leaderboard with Furia and Splash at 19 and 18 points respectively. Now, Furia is certainly going to be feeling good getting into the top 3 mix there. You saw Tech kind of ratting it out under the bridge as long as he could there, and that's certainly going to help them out on that leaderboard, but we'll see if Rejects jumps up into that conversation here. Of course, still 4 more games to go, so a lot more movement is going to happen on the leaderboard as the night continues, and the question is who's going to be that first partnered squad to break through. Of course, we've talked throughout the season about the dominance of Team Vizio. They won the first 4 open nights in a row, and they were finally unseated from that throne last week with Team Splash, but that means the partnered squads have dominated so far in open night. We'll have to see if maybe the open teams can finally get on the board. But let's check out our second player of the game of the night here in game number 2, and it's going to go to Patty here. 7 kills and 3 assists, looking good on the Caustic. Of course, Rejects holding that high ground, able to drop the traps down from the bridge. Well played from them, and they execute in the final circle to grab the victory. Over 2,000 damage there for Patty as well, so that's going to be a good chunk of points at the very least. 22 for Rejects, so that's a big showing for them, and they will definitely be in that conversation early on for the top of the leaderboard. We'll see how all those points have shaken out when we go back to Vicky and Zephyr here after this quick break.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Series E. I'm Zephyr, still bringing you here our open tournament number 6 alongside Vicky Kitty, and there's only one question left to answer here before we get into Game 3. How high does Furia actually jump there? Build off what Yesa was saying. Only the Mobile One leaderboard can answer that question, though.
Yeah, I mean, with Furia being still in the top 3 for that game number 2 after taking game number 1, they're probably going to be able to win up a good amount of points there, probably bridge up that gap. But Rejects, though, taking that game 2, I love to see our open teams come out of left field here for a lot of our Series E teams to contest it against.
No. We'll take a look and see. Like Yeso said, I believe it was 22 points to put themselves up there. Now, Rejects 38, finally, a little bit of a gap starting to evolve here. Not quite a jump, starting maybe a bit of something like, I don't even know what's higher than jump. Maybe they're flying up here to first place for Rejects as they now sit a whole 11 points above what we saw out of Furia in game 1.
I mean, we saw Patty pop off in that game too. 7 kills, over 2,000 damage. That's the type of game that we were talking about. Could just completely shift the overall leaderboards, and that's exactly what they did after taking that win. First place and already making that gap difficult here for Furia, who have been in the top 3 spots, winning game number 1, now top 3 in game number 2. Right behind them, though, but Team Splash is another team that is right behind them.
Splash and Nerf not too far behind. Razor performing just as well. But speaking of performance, let's look at that high one here from the mobile one. And no surprise, we're looking at the end game watch rejects here, especially as they're forced to drop in these final moments.
It's so crucial, too. Holding onto the spot, Razor, they had them in their sights, but with the dome being right in front of them, they wanted to delay themselves on that rock grind here. You see Furia playing off from the low ground. We saw this, too, here, too, with Drez having to contest young Pop-Tart in the skies. It was so intense here because you see the circle closing in on Razor and putting on so much pressure, especially with this Nox Gas. This Nox Gas, as well as the barrels, was so crucial here for Regis because they were able to set up from the high ground in that moment.
And most importantly there, especially when we see the split here from both of those squads, I believe the first member to fall there on the low ground from Razor goes out immediately right when we see that initial drop from Reject. So already you're split with the Valk. Suddenly you've got a 2v1 there on that low ground. You're not going to win the 2v1 when it's looking as bad as it is there. So once Drez was finally down on the ground, of course was going to not look too great for him there with nothing left to defend for his squad.
And they even had the chance to throw out the dome before Fury Live had gotten knocked in that situation. But even then, just being able to have that high ground jumped in and then completely take over the dome with your own caustic barrels. Jeez. I mean, we saw the damage that Patty was able to put on board throughout the entirety of the game. And that's why Rejects was able to jump so far up in the overall Mobile 1 leaderboards.
And you know what? I got to hand it to him because it wasn't just there in that last moment. Rejects were also able to hold off one of the best positions right out there towards the north of staging. And we know they had to fight at least 2 or 3 squads to make sure that that land was there and theirs alone here. For now, though, almost towards our halfway point there, but not quite just yet. Game 3 here back on World's Edge here for Open.
Back with the action. We are speeding through these games. 2 games down now as we move on to game number 3. We've had 2 teams now outside of our Series E teams take the last 2 games. Can one of our Series E squads try to take this one with Razor being so close, with Nerf and Splash being 2 teams performing amazingly throughout this night? Rejects, though, this is the squad that just won game number 2, but you can only imagine the momentum this squad has been able to build up for themselves after the performance that we saw from Patty alone.
Whew. Well, they've got a ways to go. Skyhook is on the opposite end of where our zone will be closing out. It's going to be playing directly here into the hands of Excedrin. So if there's any time for one of our Series T teams to pop off, then this game is it, directly for Station.
You see RCO, though, they're knocking on the doors of Team Excedrin, who are going to be able to prioritize that beacon before RCO make their moves through that congested spot. But talk about early fighting, exactly what we'd seen from game number 1. Precision Gaming now having this 50-50 here as Icy Shot gets the first knock, but they trade that for Carbon.
Bucky here able to find a good return. There's Precision just barely able to stay alive. Dash and Bucky picking that one up even after losing what was the initial start there from Charlie Whiskey. So once again, a fight taken here from Precision off of their laning all the way out here towards Overlook. And I'm pretty sure that is a separate squad from what we saw in game 2 there from their initial drops.
I'm also seeing in the feed, Nightmare and Team Nerf, they're in a bit of a skirmish here as Nerf now forced what with that purple Evo, with that quick PK shot. They clean up Nightmare, and this is the 50-50s that we usually see take over Lava Siphon, but Nightmare feels very comfortable playing on these outskirts. Sometimes you get lucky with the beacon in that middle building of Lava Siphon, but you can see what Nerf was prioritizing, and for a good reason too. You're coming out of this fight with full purple Evo shields, as well as stabilizing off of this loot with that flatline with a purple extended heavy.
So Nerf already looking fairly well here at the very beginning of this game. Furia can't say the same though, as Zera going to be forced to back off here. It looks like someone trying to take their own 50-50 out here by the Fissure. Gas is officially down there from behind. We saw it tick down for Zera. Doesn't quite land the rest of it there, but this squad continues to pressure, and I believe we've got a bit of a split angle there, so trying to find some line of sight here on Furia from both ends of Fissure.
This is our squad, too, that is currently sitting in second place in the overall leaderboard. So Fury are trying to take this skirmish, but are trying to play this safely with Boom Shakalaka taking some shots from afar, while the rest of Furia closing that gap from right underneath.
We'll have to revisit them here at some point. Back out, though, towards the east. MBS in their own fight, and Intel swoops in from behind. Knock, knock, open up. It's real here. Now they find their way back towards the dome. Mooney making short work here with the Volt to pick up a squad for themselves.
They just quite literally just all snuck up and jumped in that building. Intel are not playing any games. Look at these shots. Mooney drifting back. They heard what happened to Nightmare just right outside of Lava Siphon. They know what was going down earlier with some of those teams trying to take those shots over there. And now Intel, they're playing with full blue Evos. Not too sure if they know that on the other side of this canyon, there's going to be a squad with full purple Evos.
Right, Nerf just waiting for them to find their way down here across Siphon. Intel, though, they're going to take their time. They've found success here. They don't need to move, and if they have to redeploy with Fearless, they can make sure of that. Furia, though, back out here towards our fissure. They finally have pulled the trigger into the wall. Great double massive pump found here from Boom Shakalaka. One member left standing as they fight their way through the dome. The gas is ticking, but it doesn't tick quick enough, Vicky.
Oh, but there's a third party moving in at the perfect time. It's literally vibing the squad that got 10th place in the Challenger circuit now moving in to have this opportunity. They got the Thermite out. You can see the R301 here from Muzen. He's trying to find
Banshee
an
under.
off angle. Yeah, and Banshee too, but they find the opportunity. Look at these wingman shots, but only 2 shots landing in the process.
Ooh, and now vibing, they're pressured out from above. Muzin's got to be careful. Didn't expect the full roster to come out here from the second floor. They take advantage of that short skirmish to get at least some pressure back into play here as the rest of vibing is scurrying like headless chickens here.
See Banshee taking a look. Where did my portal go? I don't know where I put my portal. Wait a minute, I found my portal. And they dip out of that situation. That was a good call from literally vibing because they knew the moment they couldn't capitalize off of a knock, even with those wingman shots, they just disengage instead. They don't feel comfortable taking that fight, so they're just going to call it quits. They deem that third party unsuccessful, and they're not going to try to overextend.
Well, they don't shut down the lead from Furia. That's the sad part here. But hey, congratulations to them on the other end of the bargain, able to put up something in defense here. Now, we'll see how they'll carry themselves. Literally vibing. They're running as far away as possible. Obviously, they're working their way into zone, but we like to imagine that they're just scared.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to dwell away here, going to be able to use that geyser to reposition. Great situation for them as they're going to be able to be on this high ground, but they don't have the beacon that's sometimes situated there. So literally vibing, they're going to get this crate, and we'll definitely take those with a Spitfire on the other side. They even have the mobile respawn beacon that they can also obtain, which is going to be great here if they want some extra makeshift cover.
Ooh, Intel. Haven't quite moved very far. Finally on the bridge here before Siphon, but it looks like they're taking their own skirmish here against Lazarus before they make full rotation. Able to find the second knock here on this squad. One member left standing, might be 2, given how aggressive they are there. Finally, it'll be Fearless putting pedal to the metal, starting to pressure this one out. You see the dome from afar there, already down.
I like the way that Intel has been playing tonight, too. I love this aggressive stance that they've been taking. This is the same squad that we saw jump into the high ground building. Now, Mooney, he sees red. He's not giving up on that last straggler as he's going to be chasing him down the hill. And Razor, they're playing for positioning. We can see the duality of these teams, and Razor, they're going to be hugging this corner, but there's another squad that's ahead of the curve, and they're hugging that one building that they're predicting the circle is going to be pulling. Now that we see that it's going to be pulling south of Thermal Station, we sometimes see that circle in the open field by exactly where these houses are from where Bursty's trying to put down this portal.
Funny enough, this is actually where that final game in the EMEA region actually finished out here to give New, I believe, their win in those final moments. Literally this fence line that they were able to climb up and keep high ground control for as long as they did. Bursty, though, unable to work their way into those buildings. Puts the portal down, but it's Fury Vizio from afar, able to capitalize. Now the rest of the squad, they hear the shots. Dress, only one left standing, and not for long. They're already out.
Can we talk about the barrage of grenades, the bombardment on top of that as a cherry on top? That's 2 squads that are holding on to the final circle. RCO, they moved in a little late. They're dancing. You see Sleeping Panda's like, you can't hit me, you can't hit me. You're shooting me from the sniper building of Thermal Station and you still can't hit me, as he's looting and dancing all around the competition, now literally vibing. They're on the other side of Thermal Station. This is a squad that navigated their way from the northern part of Thermal. Now they're situated themselves inside this building, trying to take this slowly. Maybe they have a redeploy, but you can see that Banshee had used his portal just earlier.
I'm very interested to see whether this circle plays out towards the southwest, where we see a lot of the squads currently present themselves, or over across the fissure, where we usually see RCO actually physically land most times around here. We haven't had the opportunity to actually see what is the read there given onto round 4 close just yet. Either way, squads, they're starting to line themselves up, finding their way at least through the chokes here towards the north. Sad for teams like Rejects, most of the buildings that are very important to hold on to are more than likely already held here. The most notable one that they might want to play into is the one directly towards the north of Station here that might still be available, but the ones that are more south contested are definitely no hold.
Yeah, you know, that makes me curious to see where Team Excedrin decided to hold, whether it be that sniper building or whether they prioritized one of the buildings south of Thermal Station, because we saw that RCO was that squad that navigated through Tree, where they usually land, through that back choke point that usually that survey beacon south of Thermal Station is sitting in. So now Furia, though, in a fight themselves a little further away from Thermal now, up north, closer to Harvester. They're trying to find this fight here. Zero's still on that fuse. He loves that fuse, but look for a good reason too. Where are you going to redeploy? Right in front of their face.
It's the knuckle cluster that puts it down. The damage from Zera to prevent the deploy here. Able to take advantage of, I believe, 2 of the resounding members there. Only 1 left standing. They don't even care. They don't have the opportunity to play this one out any longer. They've got to make some moves here sometime soon. But hey, at least you know you've got that behind yourself.
Man, having Boom Shakalaka on this team with Zera, I love it, because every single time I see Zera go absolutely off with
directly into the heart here of Thermal. They're going to be trying to find their way back out towards these scaffoldings towards the south, where we tend to see a lot of teams find themselves underneath. Surprisingly, Petty and Mooney, they survive even as extended as that dive was.
And Fearless is truly fearless. He's like, man, can't relate. Didn't take any pot shots right there, as he was able to get to the safety of the underneath part of this area. But it's that sniper tower building that we were talking about before, Thermal Station. Although the circle does look like it's pulling more so to the south of Thermal, those players on that high ground have a great view of a lot of these teams. But take a look at these shots that Fearless is putting down. That also means that that squad, though, up there is denying themselves loot if they do not have a Lobo on that squad.
Right. You know, you talk about the sniper towers, great for damage. You can set yourself up fairly well when we talk about that, but you're starving everything. When we talk about KP, what loot you can find, right? You don't get to take advantage of any of it. And the thing is, this region can become so highly contested that usually the final time when you're actually able to move off of the sniper tower is when the zone is actually pushing up against you, back against the wall, and you're forced to drop. Particularly, I don't like that tower for that reason. I don't think it gives that much of an or it doesn't give that much of an advantage to teams that find themselves on top of it. Splash here, though, finally, we get to learn that they're the ones who currently hold control of it. What I would like to see from them is an early rotation. Once they have the knowledge of where that zone will present itself, I want to see them off it before the zone actually forces them away.
Yeah, and it's kind of what we were talking about before. Look at their ammunition. Look at that wingman. Although you don't need a lot of ammo here for the wingman, you can still see that Splash still on the blue Evos may have been struggling since they decided to take this spot very early on. But in turn, a lot of these other teams have already settled up in those buildings that we were referring to before, that they're very comfortable. It's already been taken up. So if Splash want to redeploy here, looking at their composition with the Caustic, there's not going to be enough real estate for Splash to be comfortable with.
Could see if they could play out here towards the east, maybe find their way back into the zone at some point, but at this point I think it's far too late. You've already kind of put yourself there. You're just gonna have to work with it, and there's plenty of realm to do so. But as we take a look once again, thankfully Some ammo provided to keep himself alive here as we start to swing back in towards Thermal. Looks like there's a squad that has found themselves directly underneath the center there.
Yeah, we saw a redeploy going on later on. We know those redeploys could be so risky. You're taking that 50-50 chance while Circle gets smaller and smaller. Now with 10 seconds left for Circle 3 to close in. Splash, they're not going anywhere. They're still racking up enough damage to rack up their Evo shields, but soon they're going to have to see where that next Circle is going to pull. They don't have that intel like other squads may have down south.
Right. If it does kind of pull away, at least more towards that southwest region where we, sometimes see these buildings play out and towards whether it be the field or more directly into that kind of sub point of interest, I'd like to see them maybe go for that circular dome building right out here towards the west. You've got several tiers to play with, and even if a squad is already there, you can usually fight your way into it. Rejects, though, they're going for a hot spot that I definitely love out here. One of the two major buildings into the east if the zone does pull towards it. They're going to play directly into the underside. Surprisingly, it's only Pup Tart to look low in response there, so they're going to be able to set themselves up for potentially what will be this next fight now.
This is such a good spot, too, here with Rejects trying to predict this. They know there's a squad up on the high ground. They essentially wanted the intel from the beacon, but understanding there's a squad already taking up that space, they're not going to try to get too ahead of themselves. Furia also with Extra going in. Furia's just been at another level, and now that Extra is the kill leader. More kills going favor for Furia, but these grenades, though, are going to be hurting soon with Rejects now having to pop the shield back from both Cowboy and Young Pop-Tart.
Resources expended to keep themselves alive here in a defensive bombardment thrown down, or is all things there, gas put out. No one's going to be able to really find their way through, and granted, the ordinances can only last for so long. So for now, I believe Rejects are safe in their own right. I like that. Pop-Tart already getting the deploy ready for when they might have to find their way out of this position, because for now it's good, keeps them survivable in terms of the rest of these squads here, but it's definitely not somewhere to play out of in terms of the long game.
Especially seeing that there's going to be a third party moving in shortly. You could see RCO. This is the squad that we had seen earlier now. Still coming out from that same choke point, but Sleepy Panda takes so much damage. Rejects don't want to push that, though. They know there's another squad still on the high ground that have their team in their line of sight. So RCO, they do manage to get away here, but they're just going to call it quits. They're going to drip back, go right back to the building that they felt comfortable in before.
That is just crazy there. It took one move from Panda to make that apparent there, and they give away the beacon. Now, granted, you have brought it up. There is still another squad there just on the cusp that will play forward there in a moment. So RCO, they take full advantage of the building that they know is completely safe, is now trash their own redeploy here from the north right into the heart here. I believe this is the other end, one of the other, no, it is not available. I was about to say this is one of the few scalpings that is available in trash. They're going to find out fairly quickly that intel has been here all along, and that is a poor move. You can't be doing that with the Valve.
They saw them, though. They saw them in their line of sight. The Valve passive was able to get the scan onto Intel, but they still wanted to contest that, surprisingly. Yeah, I'm surprised there. I mean, off the rip, Intel has the advantage with the timing, since you do have that slight delay, but maybe hoping that Intel was going to get beamed through so many of these squads. Look at this bombardment, the pressure, as Fearless is dancing around the bombardment on top of that, but Mooney isn't as lucky as he gets taken down.
This is really well played regarding the timing. Now Fearless trying to keep this one alive for his squad, playing around the back end with that alternator, but doesn't last for long. Petty Boss now with the Mastiff around the back end of this car. You've got that Wraith just hunting this one out right above there. Gonna drop around the back there as Petty is able to get the full shield through, but it's literally vibing. They're a three-man roster. They have no problem wiping out the rest of Intel.
And look at what they're running too. They have the big mod flatline. They have the Spitfire. This is absolutely insane here looking at Banshee. This is scary. And they have so much loot to work with. Look at all those shield bats. It's like Christmas being tossed out. And now Nerf on the other side of things. They're stuck in the same corner that we had seen earlier from one of our squads as they took that fight early on now as Nerf wants to move in. So many of these teams have been situated in those buildings for so long. Teams like Furia, our second place team here, that are looking to claim that first place spot.
This is crazy, though. The majority of the teams are all congested here into the south. You've got Vizio as well as I believe they're nerfed. Now they're taking their own fight here. Patty trying to work this one out. This is that reject roster that we discuss and love so much, as they're able to find the one. Fury Wave, though, looking like they might just be done.
And this is great news for Furia, who are holding the inside of that building. Now Vizio have kept that pressure up. They're hugging the side of the rocks, and they have the black market in case they're low in ammunition.
Jeez. This is just rough. Surprisingly, though, rejects are still alive.
They managed to get away just by the skin of their teeth. Vizio are just trying to keep this up, but again, so many teams up in the area, they're still trying to take this fight. You see them forced to play from the low ground now as Vizio trying to find an angle without giving up this spot entirely.
Pop gonna launch to the sky, redeploy this one out, see if they can take advantage of anywhere else that might be available. But remember, you've also got literally vibing just a ways away here. They're going to play directly back into the position that they just left, only the opposite end of the rock. The problem is 2 squads are landing here just across from one another, only one separate piece of cover to defend themselves.
Yeah, that's Rejects as a 2-man who try to get out of that situation after Vizio pressured them to redeploy. Now with literally vibing landing right next to them. Yeah, they get taken out. Young Pop-Tart Cowboys, they're out of this fight. Now literally vibing fighting this with Vizio.
Vizio here coming up from around the rock to quickly take advantage of the poor position there. Wave is down. You don't have that dome in terms of protection, and now Fury will be out as well. Scissors going to be able to pull off the full battery, but this means nothing in the extent of the long-standing live of this team. I believe this is just going to be Furia versus Nerf here for the rest of this game.
This is going to be crazy here for Furia. This is another top 3 finish for Furia, as Nerf are in a great position as Turns tries to reset. They're in a good spot to not overextend, but Furia have taken so much pressure, but no one's going to try to take advantage of that because that Nerf would be in that line of sight for Vizio to just take shots on.
Oh, this is rough. Vizio, are they pulling a revive off in the midst of it all?
Yup, and they managed to do so successfully because Fury was pressured out too hard to be able to fully send it. So they were forced to reset themselves and gave enough time here as Fury again, boom, shakalaka, back in the action.
2 revives coming out here in the final round, right before the close here. Fury, they're going to pull the trigger right off the bat, take advantage of the respawn there from Vizio on the side, the sight line that they've had for so long. The dome's down, and Spoop Shakalaka runs into the zone to pull off the shield swap back directly to Scissors here as he's hiding behind the mobile respawn, and it won't last for long here. Spirit, they've got to regroup. They've got a bigger entity right ahead of them in the heads of Nerf.
They said that's none of our business. You can get that mobile respawn. You can try to get that res, but we're not going to put ourselves in the line of sight of Nerf. As the final circle is closing, can Scissors pull off this res?
I don't think there's any time. I think the res is already out. Back in zone there is now Scissors is forced to move from the rock. Quickly is taken out to bring us down to our last 2 in Furia. They're going to hop this fence line, and they're going to find out that they've got nothing to work with.
Remember, this is Nerf and Fury. These are 2 consistent squads, but Fury is forced to traverse through the open field. Nerf have the clear advantage here as Force Squad falls low, but they manage to get the first knock as Tech goes down. Zero goes down to the ring. There's only 1 left. They can't do it, but Nerf or nothing as they manage to take game number 3.
And Nerf, they blast through the composition here. Our first Series E team to pick up a victory here in Open. And I'll tell you what, this is the first time that we've seen this squad finally transition their success from the Pro Night into Open of all things. Something that would be easy any other way, but hey, I'm happy. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking them up too. You were explaining here right before we jumped into these games how Nerf has been able to pop off in these pro nights, but the open nights, have they just been kind of sleeping on purpose so then just absolutely go Super Saiyan and the next day? I mean, right now, they're tired of it. They've been doing such a good job at staying consistent within these last 3 games that they're going to be that first Series E squad to take a game of our open night.
Well, for now, coming off of that one, we know they were sitting within that top 4 here, just hoping for a spot to place within first. And after that game, I'm more than sure that they shoot through the ranks, but only our Mobile One leaderboard will be able to confirm that. As for me and Vicky, though, we're going to be going to a break to get you that out just as quick as can be.
Pressures coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking, yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. Your memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. With the bars and the breaks, I'm talking one chance that was so good for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast. Excedrin, game over for headaches.
What's up, guys? Tyler Endress, CEO and founder of Esports Arena. And did you know that Esports Arena is located inside Walmarts all throughout the country? We're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now at one of our awesome Walmart stores. Let's go take a look. Fantastic, right? So typically in the front of the store, you see we've got a Subway here, you got some Walmart services, but right there is the Tulsa Esports Arena. Right up front. So literally, if you're just doing some grocery shopping, you're gonna check out over here. Simple as that. Or you could check out right in here. We've got Calvin, my man Calvin right here. Hey, yo, log me in on station number 8.
You got it, Tyler.
All right, I'm getting logged in. We're gonna go play some video games. Look at that. The best video cards in the industry. The best CPUs in the industry. The best gaming chairs in the industry, the best Razer peripherals in the industry, the best monitors that let you hit that 200 frames per second in the industry, no screen tearing whatsoever. All right here at Esports Arena. Now I'd let you keep following me along, but I got a tournament to play tonight, so I'm gonna get some practice in.
All right, that's the first half of games done there, and 3 more remain ahead of us. And the partner teams finally on the board. 2 of them in the final 3 there. Nerf is the one that comes out on top with a nice victory there. I'm surprised, honestly, that Vizio survived as long as they did. Scissors doing his best to keep the squad alive there in that late circle. They do fall in third, and Furia in the mix once again. They get second place here, but the story, of course, is about Nerf. And if you guys watched last week's series recap on Friday, Jamerson and I had an interesting discussion talking about multiple different squads of the partnered teams and kind of which direction we thought that they were trending. We were kind of buying or selling what we felt like their potential was going to go. And so far tonight, Splash and Nerf, a couple of the teams that we talked about, looking pretty good, looking to continue the trend of the performances they've been having so far. So well done from them. We'll have to see if Nerf can keep it rolling in the last 3 games. Let's check out our third player of the game here for tonight. And this one's going to go to Force. 4 kills and 2 assists, one of the newer members to join here onto Nerf after they had a little bit of a roster shuffle early on in the season. But 4 kills and 2 assists and over 2,100 damage, playing a big role in Nerf's win this time around. And they're going to be looking real nice jumping up there. But of course, Furia should continue to control the top of the leaderboard with the way they've been playing tonight. The question is can anybody knock them off of that throne here in the last few games? We will find out. Do want to remind you folks, of course, if you're looking to pick up any products from all of our partners here at Esports Arena, you can just head over to walmart.com/esports arena and grab anything that you need. We are going to go to a quick break right now, but when we come back, Zephyr and Vicky will get you ready for the second half of games. We'll see you in a few.
Well, the games, they've moved fast, but I'll tell you what, we're only halfway through here of our open night. Once again, I'm Zephyr, standing alongside the queen herself, Vicky, here, as we continue to bring you some of the best here. It's been quite a break, so let's kind of refresh the minds here as we take a look at that Mobile 1 leaderboard.
Yeah, after Nerf took that win, they're sitting in 3rd place, but look at Furia. Look at our consistent squads. With Furia only taking game 1, they have managed to stay within the top 3 squads left in each and every one of our last 3 games.
Nerf, so even after a major win, still are unable to usurp not just Furia, who of course came through there in that one, but Rejects, who played as long as they did here into our 3rd game, just barely surviving off the back end of what could have been a nice redeploy there for themselves here. So Nerf, definitely a good showing thus far, but not quite it just yet. Still a gap to work with, 9 points to put themselves at least in a prize pool here. But hey, the best of the best when we talk about the rest of the Series E teams, okay? They're leading the pack, technically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you look at where Team Nerf all the way down to Team Splash, who have had pretty amazing games, the fact that there's still that gap between Fury and Rejects and Team Nerf is insane here. Team Nerf is the only Series E squad that is really close right behind Rejects. Now you can see Intel, Splash, and Vizio. They've been working their way up those overall leaderboards here as we get to take a look at the Mobile 1 high performance moment.
Whew. And more than likely, it's going to be this last take here. And just watch the complete control, the dominance that Nerf has here. They hold on to this position almost all along here into rounds 4 and 5. And this is where you get to see the fruits of their labor. Right here, you've got full angles on Fury. The minute they come off the back end of that wall, what can they do, Vicky?
There's no cover. There's no cover. They were hugging the fence for as long as possible, hoping that the edge of the circle was going to force Nerf off this platform, but there was nothing stopping them. Nerf had the best position in this moment, and you and I were talking a little bit about it, but the moment we saw teams like Vizio and Rejects redeploy at the very end there, where their only sense of cover was the natural rocks that's off to their left, Nerf just had the best position where that open field, it's a field day for them, quite literally. They had Furia all in their line of sight.
And we were kind of concerned because had a team actually fought their way into Nerf, that would have provided a completely different narrative going forward there into that final zone. But the fact that they both double redeployed at the exact same time cemented their victory about a minute and a half before it even took place here. Now, though, finally, halfway through game 4 on the board. Plenty of time to put some points on the leaderboard if you want to find your way into first or second position, but the time is starting to tick.
I mean, Nerf is right on Furia's 6 here. They're looking to try to claim that from right underneath Rejects right there too. So we're going to have to see here with some of our squads and tuning into where Nerf is going to be situating themselves after coming out of that win. Force what? With 4 kills, over 2,000 damage. You love to see it, but we've also seen a lot of 50-50s here happen over by Lava Siphon.
Yes!
And it looks like it's not wavering off anytime soon as the Nightmares are still contesting them for that spot.
The 50-50 can take its time, however long it may hold. I don't care. We've got a northern circle. I'm sick of the south, finally finding our way up, and it's about as far north as you can get. Epi, climb a survey, some of the best points of interest that we never get to see.
And a great news here for Lazarus, too, as they're going to be moving through Climatizer. You could see them as well in that northern part of that circle. But you know what's going to be key here is holding that sniper tower in Epi. That has the beacon that's going to tell all our teams exactly where they're going to be rotating now. As Nerf, they know about that 50-50. They know that they've taken already some shots over at Nightmare, but they're not fully sending it just yet. They want to loot up a little bit before actually trying to contest them.
Double blue is definitely a good start, though. You already look like you can take a fight at any given moment here as they already start to set themselves up upon that gondola. For now, though, Nerf, it's just that starting point here. Nothing too crazy will present themselves as they actually head the opposite direction away, so they won't be taking any fight really anytime soon here. They're going to actually slow this one up in comparison to what we have seen out of them. Expect it somewhere in the next 2 to 3 minutes rather than just right off the bat. I'm more curious about teams, though, like Precision, who we've seen time and time again. Like, if we're talking about early action, those guys have constantly took fight after fight here in our last 3 games. And to see the kill feed as silent as it is, kind of gives a notion of what pace we're looking at here going into our second half today.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because usually I like to highlight game number 5 as being that most important game. That's the game where a lot of our squads either feel comfortable where they're sitting at in terms of the overall leaderboards and decide off of their history here over the night, over the course of these games over that night, if they want to play a lot more high pace. But you see a lot of teams out kind of slowing things down, and as I say, that RCO, they actually get Drez, they get that knock. So there's a fighting going on here for RCO to try to take that advantage to even finish off Drez in the process. So great start here for teams like RCO.
Yeah, but not so much for Razor. Facing some strife now, 2 members. They've got plenty of time, though. I don't know if RCO is going to let up on that one. They themselves, though, we know they land as far south as they do, so they've got a ways to go when we talk about that zone. But this, like I said, it's only round 1. If they want to take a fight, they can do so here. Sadly for Drez, it looks like the rest of the Razor squad was actually forced really far away. They're running high hills here out to Dome, completely away from sight, where that's where their last standing member is.
Yeah, they're just trying to find the opportunity to get that banner. If they could get a res maybe on the other side of that lot, that'd be fantastic here. But with this reposition, we could see that Razor were in some trouble. They even have that beacon, but not too sure if they were able to get the scan now that the circle is closing in. And remember, that circle is pulling all the way north towards Epicenter, so Team Razor have a bit of a trek ahead of themselves.
God forbid RCO still in the area, just looking to take advantage. Obviously, they should be on their rotation away here. So they're going to be able to find Drez back up. This, of course, is going to delay what is available here for Razor, as that north, like you said, is such a distance away. And the thing is, you come back into with the Valk of all people being the one that's revived, so you don't have the opportunity to play around that major ultimate and get the redeploy out there. Vizio, though, this is a spot that we've seen this squad take up time and time again, and I love it. You get to play the high ground. This is the little verticality that is available here when we talk about this region towards the north. Squads that come out of Fragment or try to play out towards the bridges in the east will have to pass through this sight line first. So Vizio, they take advantage of that, and Fury, our Legolas on the fields, gonna make short work of it, hopefully, with that bow.
A for effort. A for effort for Fury. We're watching. A for
It's
effort
got
here
drop.
on the Bocheck. Yeah, it's got a massive drop off. So I can't, you know, it's difficult. It's difficult, but Vizio, they try to hold this ground. They're going to be able to do so successfully here while still racking up some damage for those evil shields. And this is the spot I was talking about. Right here where MBS is situated in. They have the beacon. They know another squad is going to try to contest them, but that squad is going to have to use the redeploy to even get to the spot.
And like I said last time with Thermal, it is a spot that does give you the opportunity. Now, of course, with the information being that beacon, which is 10 times more important, but you don't have the opportunity to follow through there. So what I'd like to see, of course, is them take the information once they have the great notion of what rounds 4 or 5 may look like, find a final god spot and make it work. I don't want to see them stick directly in Epicenter. I'd be happy if they give that one up. And if a team takes the additional information on their own stride, great. That's only 1 or 2 other squads that have that opportunity.
Essentially, since you're going to be starving yourself of loot like we saw earlier from Team Splash over at Thermal Station, but Splash actually just fell right now in this next game to Furia as they continue on with this aggressive playstyle as they move back towards the circle. They're playing the edge a little bit now too because they know that they've been able to remain consistent within the top 3 squads over the course of the last 3 games. So they're looking to repeat that here as they're cleaning up some kills along the rotation, just like Intel is. As you can see, Birdman and Crossover have gotten knocked by Intel Fearless.
Intel here, hopefully finding some momentum. We talk about this team needing this one, and hey, they're successful. 20th squad down here as Intel pick up their own, able to fight their way out of Geyser into the tunnel. I know that can't quite be easy. Now, though, we look back towards our Harvester area. Etc. getting aggressed upon. I love the Thermite in response comes out, but it's going to be at the expense of Kimchi's life. Now, enemy trying to play both angles at once and can't quite do it. Cruising, stepping up with the wingman, able to find 2 to bring this one out a little bit more even here for his squad.
Absolutely huge there as it was RCO contesting them, and on the other side, closer to Epi, it's Rejects. They win out of this fight here as they're able to get that knock and they can reset, and etc. And you can still see them trying to fight this out off to the side. Cruisin is still alive, but now enemy now having to play right behind enemy's knockdown shield. Can they get this done? They have the phase breach just in case, but they want to stop the res.
Good pull there. That res was definitely a risky take. I love the follow through from Cruisin to play directly into that moment. So easily takes advantage of that one. Now the problem is Kimchi is officially completely down there. Round 1 is in full close. They've got to be careful wherever they take the opportunity to find that revive, but I'm more than sure that Excedrin will find themselves forward. Speaking of
yeah, they could take that slow
go
too.
ahead.
Oh yeah, they could take that slow too. With that being circle 1, they could try to inch their way closer into the circle so that way they can avoid fights like what we're seeing right now from Nerf taking on to the higher ground to see what this squad's doing with this longer rotation over to Epi.
There's plenty of realm, though, for rotation when we talk about, you know, that circle that is above them towards the north. You can either go out towards the east. There's a little bit of cover on the back end of some of those rocks when you talk about the verticality over there on that hill. Nerf, though, they're going to opt for the direct redeploy here. They're going to try to cut through the majority of the action. Now, where they land, they've got to be careful. We saw teams like Vizio hold up here against this epicenter area or RMB. They're going to go for the full split here. Just make sure that this squad can survive for the time being, as they're actually going to go dive deep into Fragment.
And they're still getting peppered, probably like from Team Vizio, who were holding on to that high ground. But as Team Intel now managed to find those 2 cracks, they're going to be inching their way closer to circle. And they also have some intel at the squad that was shooting at the team that just redeployed, Team Nerf, that there is going to be another squad waiting for them on the high ground by these rocks.
Thankfully, this is not directly in the face of those squads that come right out of center here. So Intel have the opportunity to pick and choose where they may find themselves. They get the notion that they've got enemies ahead of themselves here, so they'll have the opportunity to put some damage down, but they don't actually have to fight their way directly through that. There's so many other opportunities for themselves if they want to find themselves more directly towards the bridge. But with a knock like that, they can just follow through.
He just caught him all from the air, too. I love it. Now, the follow-up, you can see Fearless now getting into position, trying to prevent the res from being put down. The Dome trying to create space, but it's not going to be enough. He was one. He managed to get out in time, but look how Intel is fully sending it.
Bone Tony does get a response onto Mooney there as Fearless looks low himself down into the crack to pull off the battery. Both members going to be able to put themselves back up here. Fearless going to go for the full med, but not for long. Size out. Bony Tony from afar trying to rat it in the corner. Quickly finishes that squad as a result.
Yeah, that was We Touch Grass too. So they're going to be out from this game now. So you can see where the circle is going to be pulling up north away from Epi. So that's going to be huge. You were talking about forcing that squad off from that sniper tower. It's going to have to be done for that next circle pull. Because now we can see it's going to be more so encapsulating Survey Camp.
And not just Survey Camp. The area I really want to look at is the area, or the location to the north of that, where literally vibing is currently. For now, though, let's talk about Intel here. Vizio, they've spotted out or heard the shots that are just directly there towards the left of them. So they're going to be able to pick up Mooney. Remember, there's only the one last standing member of Intel alive, if you remember correctly from that last fight. So as they spot this one out in the cart, they're going to take quick advantage, go for the full break, and more than likely wipe their fellow Series E squad.
And look at this, they just sandwich him. Yep, that's exactly what they're gonna do. Unfortunately here, Petty gets taken out. Fearless can't get rezzed in the process. And Vizio, we're here in the area on that high ground by Epi for quite some time. Remember, you were talking about how they were able to overlook a lot of Frag West, which is why that spot is so important, because they have so many options available to them when it comes to these rotations. You highlighted that spot kind of in that open area between Epi and Survey, and especially that north area by the train tracks. Those train tracks are going to be so crucial because they're going to be able to not only be by the edge of the circle, but they could have kind of like that slight edge over the high ground that the railroad tracks can actually provide.
Right. Most people don't tend to realize that it actually has a level of high ground that plays into it. And that's what Fury is actually trying to take advantage of. Is you can see it right there before them here. So it's literally vibing. They're the ones that currently hold on to this cart, and the zone forces Furia out. We'll see if they're going to be able to take this one away. Dome down, Boom Shakalaka Zare going for the full Phoenix kit in response. You got literally vibing their own dome placed in the cart themselves. Furia not quite pulling the trigger just yet. They're going to go for a separate angle here.
Yeah, and now that you can see them inching their way towards the circle, it's not doing as much damage here, so Furia are comfortable just playing outside of the circle at this point. They're actually just going to rotate long, and I like this decision. They don't want to try to take this fight now with another squad waiting for them up ahead.
They already know they got a squad directly in front of them here, but it was the portal that pulls them away, so they've given up this cart in its full entirety. So Furia are going to take advantage fairly quickly, and they can hold on to this one for as long as they like. The problem, though, looks like they've got a split angle that takes down Tech as a result. So now, knowing that it's going to be just a two-man roster, the rest of the Hounds come out to hunt here, literally vibing, trying to pick this one up as Musin pressured back.
And this would be absolutely huge here if literally vibing wipe out Furia. This is our squad that is currently sitting in first too. So now, yep, Jelly finally finds Tech here in the process. You won't have to be worrying about that fuse as long as you think. And now literally vibing now having to correlate as Lucen goes down. I'm wondering here, Boom Shakalaka finding that off angle with literally vibing, kind of splitting that attention. And it looks like another squad has been rotating. And it's going to be Trash that have invited themselves to the park.
Right, we just saw Trash finish off that last member there of Furia to secure the cart here out towards the east. And now knowing that the member ahead of them is officially down, and Musin may look to fully keep them out here. Jelly pulls back, though. Going to go for the full battery. They're going to keep this one safe. Obviously, this is one of the better positions to play into for the circle, so I like the fact that they take their time here before aggressing upon it.
Look at this. Trash is like, yes, funnel into our line of sight. This is the train card where everybody wants to be. The dome coming out to help out Pyro restabilize, get that shield swap. Beautiful here to control this space as they try to restabilize. There was another squad on the other side of the cart that were taking some shots, but Furia is still alive. Boom Shakalaka is still alive, but as a rat, he's getting peppered from every angle, but he's like, all right, you guys won't see me the emo to try to dance around those shots.
We'll see how long our Tomcat Rat's able to stay alive, or if one of these squads will swipe away the victory. The cheese here that Furia is currently hunting for. Furia, though, I love this. Pops
He's got
the
their
crate
banner.
open. Nice little hidey hole for now, but not enough, apparently, as the missiles come down.
Oh, he's like, hold on. You guys aren't actually seeing anything. It's okay. I got the banners here, and you can see the shots coming in. You see the Ash Tactical coming out, too, and there's somebody else waiting by this bridge. It's Splash, who are now in a fight themselves. Blight has lost her shield, though, so early in this fight.
They have the opportunity to just stay alive, though. There's no one that's pressuring them off from this high ground. They're just trying to take advantage of those who are rotating in fairly late here out from the east. So they put themselves back up into a good source of health here as they're all split across. They're just trying to cover all angles available here, make sure that no one on their backside's finding free reign through here into the official area of this zone.
Yeah, that squad that they were circle keeping, they were putting in enough pressure for that squad not to contest them, but there is another team that heard those shots that has been occupying that spaghetti building as Vizio are fighting in Climatizer here, just trying to have the opportunity to be able to follow up as Fury takes a lot of pressure, but he's got the gold Evo, and now you see Scissors moving in with a PK.
No problem for them, directly in the corner. They don't even need the shot to finish that one off. A little slap happy there as Scissors picks up the final kill onto Icy Shot, and Souls there is now Vizio. They're the complete proprietors of the Climatizer region. No one here will prevent them, as the angles, though, from above is going to damage, though.
Yeah, Fury can't catch a break. Every single time Fury pokes their head out, takes shots immediately. He's got that gold Evo once again. Just have to repeat that as they are going to be able to restabilize quickly. It's rejects that have been holding on to the inside of this building. That's so important because that's the squad that they were contesting the other team making their way from the bridge. And there's another squad right behind rejects too. But with this caustic composition, they don't allow these third parties to roll in as easily.
No. And they'll be able to force them out with gas at any given point when that does happen here. That zone will pull everyone away and out from the east at a certain point. We know that that epicenter, as well as this region, isn't going to be in play. Surprisingly, the squad that's underneath
got Furia
is
back.
Furia. They got the revive there. We saw Tech go down initially off revive, but Sarah and Boom Shakalaka still standing alive. Boom Shakalaka,
Actually,
I don't
crazy.
know where.
The fact that they were able to get that res when you saw that Boom was in between so much of the chaos, Rejects being inside this building, that's amazing news to them because this is the second place overall leaderboard squad that we currently have on our hands, and they're looking to play position with this building.
For how long, though? This is what I said. That zone doesn't play well into that building. You don't have the opportunity to hold out where you want to. Vizio, they lost Climatizer, now have to take away the spot that we saw teams like Trash hold on to for so long. It's a good pull with the Ordnance there. That Star's going to put them down, but Scissors here as well as that bat forces them from going for the full aggression. And as a result, this squad taking huge chunks of damage from that defensive bombardment.
And it's still going. Fury on the last leg here managed to pull a shield cell with that gold Evo, but look at Wave. The high ground is just too much for Vizio. They're playing by these rocks, but just the high ground is too much as Jelly gets the first knock and the rest of the squads here clean up. And now Rejects, they heard the fighting happening right outside their door. They know they want some more KP as they finally funnel out of that building.
There they go. Now over across, they know they have a majority of the damage down here onto the Trash roster. Fury, he's still alive in the mix of this one, as it's actually Splash of all teams that hold on to the high ground here, but just as I say, they're already gone.
Yeah, just so quickly, too. With the way that we're currently seeing Rejects play, they are fragging out of their minds. Look at these death boxes now as they clean up. There's so much loot, and they have a great position on this high ground by this rock. Aside from the railroad tracks that we were talking about before, you can see them now having the high ground here with the natural formation, with some of these squads still kind of lingering on the outskirts of Survey Camp.
Oh, name a better pairing. Rejects and high ground. That definitely could lead to another victory for this squad if they keep themselves in that position. Razor, though, they're one member down. It looks like there's a squad right underneath them. A full 3-man here. I can't believe Bursty's trying to hold this one off. A single wingman to his name here to push them back.
And he's looking through that portal while still being out in the open. That squad taking some shots from across the field here. 6 squads left in total, and Razor are playing this as a duo. I don't know if they're going to have the opportunity to get Fearing Live back into this, but it's tempting with that respawn beacon being right in front of Bursty.
Surprisingly, one of the best areas to be being some of those buildings out by Survey, still within play here. The zone never really pulling away from them, so you've got 2 full squads currently in that position here. As now Rejects are forced to pull away from their original high ground position, playing to the one that we just saw here that was being covered. And I love Patty setting up the traps from behind. This is going to force the squad unable to rotate, but Young's down.
Yeah, Demi getting that knock is absolutely huge here, as now Rejects are just playing this as a duo, seeing if they can try to get that res. Now MBS also moving in. We saw Nightmare in trouble. You see the black market getting deleted because that CCC now off to the other side, but Nerf now have been able to try to reset. They've lost turns in the process, but Demi had gotten that first knock and has now been able to restabilize.
And now here, Razor 2-man, they hold the control of the Valley. You've got to mix the only 3-man. No. It looks like there is the full 3-man roster from Nerf. They were able to pull the full revive there, or the res, my apologies, onto turns as CCC, I believe, and MBS, they come out top. It's MBS, our squad that we saw in the center of Epicenter very early on here.
You can see MBS with this dome, they are going to try to help out themselves with this loop, but they can't fully restabilize. Their health's so low here, as Immortal now has to go back to the rocks, but they can't be here for long. They only have 3 seconds before they can get out of this formation.
Oh, and Razor's Bursty here. I know it's a 2-man roster, but they play like they've got 3 here, spreading the wealth of that angle as MBS is forced to scurry. 1 member down now, 2. Stealth trying to capitalize in any way possible for the rest of his squad here. Will be taken out more than quickly, as now, of course, Nerf, 1 member left standing. They just have to pull through on the back end here and take out Bursty for the win.
And this is our only other squad that has taken multiple games now, with Nerf taking 2 games in a row. Nerf are here to make a statement. You were talking about their performance in the pro night. Now they're looking to replicate that here in the open.
To say I'm surprised would be wrong. This is what should have been happening for this squad. It makes no sense that it wasn't here for so long. So happy I am. Nerf, 2 wins in a row. We know coming out of that last game that they were not in top position. This secures it. All right, this seals the deal.
Especially after what we had seen from Furia earlier on in the game. They even got that res, but wasn't enough when they had just tried to infiltrate Rejects building. We were going to have to see in the overall leaderboards when we come back from a break, but with Nerf taking game number 4, that's 2 games of a win back-to-back for Team Nerf.
Well, 2 games of win back-to-back. 2 games left to go for the rest of these squads here. We're going to be going towards a short break. Like Vicky said, once we come back, we've got that leaderboard to update you on the standings. Stick around.
It's Nerf or nothing in games 3 and 4 as Nerf take a back-to-back victory here, kicking off the second half strong. And Furia finally not getting into the top 3 makes a huge opportunity there for Nerf. They may just be able to leapfrog them to the top of our Mobile 1 leaderboard. Let's check out our 4th player of the game here for tonight. We'll bring it up on the board, and it's going to be Force here. Again, 2 kills and 3 assists in this one, over 1,000 damage for the squad. And Turns and crew looking really strong here, building off of 2 pro nights in a row, finishing in second place behind G2. We had yet to see them bring that success to open night and really have kind of a standout Tuesday performance, but today maybe seems to be that final breakout showing on a Tuesday. Vizio largely has been quiet outside of that end of game 3. So they're still on the left side of that leaderboard, but have not put up that big performance we expect from Vizio. And it looks like Nerf may be another partnered squad to rip a Tuesday night away from Vizio. The first team in their eyes, though, is Furia. And with Furia going down much earlier in the game, Nerf is going to be feeling a lot better here going into games 5 and 6. They do have to keep their foot on the gas pedal. It largely is probably not necessary to get a win in game 5 or 6, but as long as they can continue to put points on the board and build on what should be a lead here at the top of the Mobile 1 leaderboard, Nerf should be feeling really good to try and capture their first open night victory of the season. Well played from them, and looking forward to more. Do want to remind you folks, if you're trying to grab some Esports Arena merch, maybe you want to get you a Nerf jersey to represent your favorite team this season, you can just head over to shop.esportsarena.com. That's shop.esportsarena.com today. Pick you up some swag. We are going to go to another break. When we come back, we get ready for the last 2 games of the day. Going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Eat, Speak, Compete.
Eat, Speak, Compete.
Yes. What have you been playing this week?
More of all these guys.
Somebody say another booster box.
Yeah, right?
I'm not excited for the release of New World.
But when you look at the hallmark titles of the last decade, it feels like they are finally ready.
They finished strong. Like 35 and 2.
And I just typed dance ? And
Put maybe Kyle, if you're watching, put like a red alarm or whatever in my hand right here. Pause and go watch it, or you can just skip the weekend. We're gonna talk about it. Final spoiler warning: Luke. Oh yeah.
The little web slinger.
I literally feel like it's a guaranteed flop.
Follow us on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, or if you want to see our gorgeous faces, we're over on YouTube. Just search Esports Arena.
Dang. That's super fun sounding.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome.
That sounds super fun. I think that
Welcome back to Series E Season 4. Here are Open Tournament number 6. We're moments away here from our penultimate game, but we did the math behind the scenes. We tick and tacked, and now we have that information for you, our Mobile 1 leaderboard. Let's take a look and see if Nerf, after their win, were able to surpass the rest.
Ooh, look at this. Oh, wow. Our top 3 squads are neck to neck, and we still have 2 more games left. Even though Team Nerf have won 2 games, Rejects is still taking over that number 1 spot with 58 points.
And what's crazy there is Rejects, they accumulate a whole 13 coming out of that one. A majority found from their presence in their kills. 9 on the board there out of game 4, the most of any other squad in the game. So to no surprise why they still hold on to that first place position, even though Nerf were able to pick up the win.
We got to highlight, too, that gap that now Furia has bridged between themselves and our remaining squads. Looking at Team Splash with 35 points, that gap now is a 20-point difference now, with Furia kind of leading the way between themselves. So with 2 games left, is it going to be enough to close that gap?
I mean, it's definitely possible here, but the majority of those squads, all being our Series E team, have a ways to go. For now, though, our high performance moment of the game, and it's MBS here out of their rotation, but watch how this one collapses through Nerf to finish this game off.
It was crazy, too, because MBS was stuck between both of our last squads, between Razor and Nerf, so they were forced to burst through that open ground with no cover, similarly to what we had seen in the very end when Nerf was able to do the same thing to Furia for that final circle in Game 3.
Right. And I know they didn't find the most successful win for themselves, only racking up 10 points on the board here from Razor. But the fact that Razor were able to play the extent of that game out for so long, only being a 2-man roster, is insane to me. So many teams take advantage of the fact that you have that man down in some of those moments, and Razor contested against not just one squad, but several here, taking up the most area on the board there going into the final round. 1 man down. I mean, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's crazy to also see how they've been consistent throughout the night, and there's still that large gap between themselves and those top 3 squads. A Nerf being our Series E squad to try to contest both Furia and Rejects. It's great to see what Nerf is going to do now moving on to the next 2 games. If they can keep up that momentum, or if they're going to kind of fall through like what we've been seeing from Razor, even though Razor's been putting on such a good job.
Yeah, I will say I would love to see Nerf find their way forward here. I mean, they've sat in second in Pro League for quite some time, and hey, that's a major accomplishment. Don't get me wrong, but if they could actually take away a first place finish, the first one of Season 4 for themselves, I feel like that would be a monumental step as a team on this roster. And I know it's open night, but they haven't done it before, which is why we're so curious to see it happen.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about the overall leaderboards for the entire season so far, and Nerf is safe at the moment, but not by much here.
No.
Looking at the difference between themselves and that squad that's kind of bordering that line. So this is exactly the week that Nerf really needed to pop off in the open.
And the thing is, if we were watching from some of these, they used to actually be in relegation, right? So it has been kind of a growing process here for the Nerf squad. We look at the earlier weeks, 1 through 3, and they were actually completely within the realm of that cusp. And now, through a series of successful pro nights and now coming into Nights Open, they've actually managed to surpass what was their previous position. Still, though, 2 games to go. We can't set it in stone yet. The gap is large, but it is not impossible to surpass. Nerf, they still need to show up.
Absolutely. They're looking to take that first place spot. Remember, we've seen these 50-50s happen over the course of the last few games. Now, Nerf, they recognize they need that KP. Aside from winning, they need the same type of KP they need from Rejects. And this circle is not only going to favor them in this early 50-50 against Nightmare, but it's going to favor them in the long run when they see where this circle is going to be leading them.
Right, and it could end directly in the siphon. Sometimes we see this one pull a little bit more forward towards the north. We saw some bridge finishes, but Nerf, this time around, like he said, quick to look for the 50-50. Demi right there with Flux. Now, it looks like the rest of the squad here that they're looking to take out, I believe it is Nightmare, is separated. They didn't go for the full drop together here coming into Siphon, and as a result, they don't actually pick up the majority of the Nightmare squad. Granted, one member down, though.
Yeah, the rest of Nightmare was like, that's none of our business. We're just going to get out of that situation with Nerf saying, all right, we are seeking out blood. You guys over there, when you talk about Rejects, the way that they've been playing, they've taken 1 game, but they've been absolutely playing out of their minds, just picking up so much KP. Now, talking about what we've seen from the circle, there is no beacon, it looks like, here for Nerf to try to pick up. So that's going to be crucial for that intel that they want to kind of figure out, because we know that sometimes the circle pulls over by the sniper tower south of Lava Siphon, between Lava Siphon and Launch Site. So having that high ground is going to be absolutely crucial after what we have seen within the ALGS.
Right, and to counter to that, it could pull right here where Nerf is at. I know we saw what was, I believe, an EMEA, a final literally workout directly onto the bridge in the valley right below it. So still a lot of realm of space here for Nerf, and without the beacon to their advantage and no reason to move out of this area, they've got to hold up at least, I would say, one of these central buildings. I would prefer the one... that's tough to say. I'll get back to you when we actually have more of a notion regarding Circle. It's too risky to say to stick into one of them because, like you said, it could go as far south as the Sniper or as far north up here.
And we've seen those open ground circles too between Lava Siphon and even Tree, and Razor actually got whiff of the fighting going on early on when we had seen our squad take out that one member from Nightmare. So now Razor, they want in on the action. They're wasting no time in the middle of their rotation.
What I don't want to see happen to Nerf here is, I know you can get your back up against the wall with some of those central buildings in Siphon if the circle does pull that way, and as a result, you kind of get this choke where most squads are centralized. You get like a tiered cake where 2 or 3 are in Siphon, and as a result, they all kind of come out at the same time, and as a result, they're taking advantage of it. For Nerf, though, now looks like they're finding successful kills. Another member of Nightmares is hard stuck. They're not looking better themselves. They've got more than just one squad. You got literally Vibing, Furia here. I mean, fresh for the pickings.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm in danger. I see Fury off to the side here, and they're taking some of those shots while you can see them trying to rotate away from that line of sight over by that squad that's holding the roof of Trials. And Furia, they're cutting off that rotation. We know the circle is gonna be pulling south, and when you're stuck up here, the northwest part of the map, it's gonna be crucial. What do? Go long, try to rotate through Skyhook. You may be wasting a lot of time with both Furia and literally Vibing, having this squad in their line of sight.
I love how Furia knows that it's tight right now, and so, like the cats they are, they're not letting the prey go. They have no, I mean, they have all the time in the world. They don't have to make any kind of moves here. They can play with their food, and they will do so. Vizio here, though, in Harvester, finding their own successful kills. It's a full squad wipe for themselves. Wave with a good counter angle.
And that's why it's so crazy. Vizio has been putting on so much work, not only throughout the course of the entire season in these opens. The only week they didn't win was week 5 when Team Splash was the ones to come out on top. But Vizio, they are trying to replicate that now. They've been getting so much KP, but it's about those placements. It's about trying to contest teams like Rejects and Nerf at the very end.
I mean, we can talk about Vizio, but the kill feed continues to light up here for round 5. This is probably one of the fastest openings that we've seen all night long for some of these squads here. Pyro's down, Nuke as well. The Trash roster facing their own strife as Razor, who we just saw in Siphon, looks to be taking that fight. And it was in this building out here.
Yeah, Razor actually moving in. They inched their way towards this exact spot. You were talking about how eventually a lot of squads that take up Lava Siphon are forced out, and with that fight, there's actually another squad moving on to Razor 6.
There's only 16 squads left. You don't have to get that congested. I'm telling you, there's plenty of space here. Go take a walk out towards the central end, over towards the valley. I mean, there's that backside that you can play into with the little bitty path or the tunnel out there towards the south. You don't have to fight Razor. Give them a chance. They're currently sitting in, what, 6th? Tied with the rest of the Series E squads?
No, with the way that everybody else here, especially Rejects, has been playing, they're trying to deny that KP. Razor's like, wait, let me get a crumb. Hold on here. And Bursty is going to be able to get that KP. They've been putting on so much pressure, too. They have the shield swaps also available to them after they do know that there is another squad that's trying to take this building.
Intel on the opposite end, or my apologies, they're far south here into launch site. Haven't quite made their way into Siphon, taking their own fight here directly towards the south. They're not quite gate capped, so they're definitely looking to pick this one up for the KP.
But it's a great spot, too, because they have so many options leaving launch site after this fight. But their Evo shields, though, are kind of telling a different story with Petty Boss still rocking the white Evo. We've seen so much action at the start of this game. We're highlighting it before. Game 5 is the game that, in my opinion, is the most important. It dictates a lot of the pacing going forward as we see our overall leaderboard.
Well, for now, here, Intel, they pull back. They're not going to go for the full send just yet. They had what was a nice setup for some of those angles there, but they weren't able to find the full crack that they wanted. As a result, not really the take. You talk about the white shield on Pettyvoss. It isn't exactly the most advantageous kind of fight for them. And this squad themselves, they don't even want a part of the action anymore. This isn't within circle. They already know where 2 probably is going to end up. That beacon was in play for them for quite some time there, so they already rotate out.
And look at this other fight now happening over by the other side. This time in Geyser, MBS. It's a trade, though, 1-for-1 with stuff going down, but Immortal's taking a lot of pressure. But I love the position that Cryptic took on the high ground with the triple take, running double energy. And MBS is another one of those squads that we've been seeing starting to pick up the pace. Was it too little, too late here for them? Again, just 2 games left for them to rack up those points.
I think Nerf's out. We missed it in the kill feed, but Force turns and Demi all down there in a quick moment. Okay, all right.
As that's what you see the last 2 games here. Nerf going out. That's absolutely huge. RCO Esports is another one of our high contested teams as they are trying to put down some pings. They heard them fighting over at Geyser. Razor was the one that tried to take this space too. We had seen Nerf find their fight earlier onto one of the members of Nightmare. They try to clean things up, but with a lot of these squads getting the intel from these beacons, which are currently not here in this spot, it's crucial as teams like Razor now have been fighting to maintain this spot. The only thing is, they don't have a Caustic within their team composition. There is nothing stopping a lot of these teams from pushing and taking Razor's same exact spot.
No, it's one of the hardest to hold on to. That's why you tend to see several squads, stack themselves up there. Cedron, though, they're out here towards the east, taking fights to behold against Intel. They already found the 1 before we came through on the camera feed, and as a result, they had that numbers advantage to finish this one off. Remember, though, there's plenty of squads within the area that look to take advantage of it. You already have that third party coming through.
And what's so important is Furia is still finding these kills. You're looking at them light up Lazarus in the feed, and meanwhile, Excedrin losing their shield. Oh, both angles. Where do you go? RCO is such an aggressive squad. That's why we were highlighting them earlier on, but they clean up Excedrin, and now they're playing off the low ground. This is not where they want to be now. Circle is going to be closing against their backs in 50 seconds, but they could play off outside of the circle if they don't have that intel with that survey beacon right there.
Well, thankfully, I know that the building right out directly towards the north is still within play, and even if it does force them to pull down, there's a lot of the high ground, or how would I say this? When we talk about the southern edge of the valley right before you get to Siphon, there's plenty of carts that you can work your way into that at least give you the opportunity to survive. Granted, we could just see the full redeploy rotation come out here from the Valkyrie. It's still fairly early on. You'll have the reset available for the late game when you have to pull that one out. Vizio, though, this is another squad that's fighting for their life, trying to push themselves back up kind of into that top 3. We talk about their major success here over the course of this season, and they're on the opposite end of where we checked in with Razor last, just holding the backside of Siphon.
And they're looking to stay here for a while, too. This is another squad that has so many shield swaps if they want. They have the black market. You see Fury just kind of dancing around this higher ground here on the second floor over that southern building of Lava Siphon. But again, it's so crucial that there's no survey beacon. Razor getting contested. Maybe an attempt on a kidnap or something here as Razor are like, get back in there. What are you going to do over now? Is Razor going to still maintain this spot? But again, no Caustic on this team to contest a lot of these teams that want to take that space. That's why you see some teams now taking up shop inside those buildings on the outskirts, which I wouldn't be so surprised if we see a similar play from Rejects, who are running the Caustic and Gibby.
Right. Bit of a shame there that that portal doesn't work out. That's now a major tool to play into a building like this that you don't have the opportunity to dress. Making a big move here to try to put down some damage. Got to be careful. Remember, it's not just that building that we talk about having those that oppose you. You've also got a major sightline out there towards the west, but yeah, the bombardment, it comes out either way.
Yeah, I mean, try to pull that out. That's absolutely huge here. And you see Razor, they're like, all right, we'll be able to hold this spot nonetheless.
No portal, no bombardment. Razor, they're having a great time here in this building. They're not doing jack squat, but they're getting everything out of everybody.
They're telling themselves, welcome to the circus. This is the Razor show right now over by this building. You see, they're not moving anywhere. They know that they pulled those 2 ults out. That's a great spot here for Razor. I just have to imagine which of those squads are situated in that building. Is it Reject, since we did see the caustic barrels set up inside that building? It's going to be crucial for them, too, if they can at least still hold on to that Nox grass so that way they can control the space that Razor is currently sitting in. And we got our rat cam here with Wraith now kind of lingering right below that area. What a spot to be in as a rat.
I'd love to know who this is in particular. You know, if I had to give a rating of our Tomcat rat cams, you know, out of 10 here for what I've seen, especially on Series E, I'd say this is middle of the pack here. Okay, it's not the safest of areas. You can be taken advantage of. That valley, there's plenty of those who can get a sight line on you once they drop through a rotation out from sight or something. So low ratings on the rat cam on that one.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Now, you see Razor, even though they were holding onto that spot, they know their spot is great, but now because they're leaving it to try to take this fight, another spot could actually roll
Very
in
nice.
and actually take it, but great way to get rid of that barrel.
Big stick found to start this one off, and I love the double angles to squeeze this squad. The dome is officially down here, so just waiting to pin that Arc Star into this fight here. Throwing it directly center, another one to set up. You've got that squad just completely squished, feeling for the rest of their life. In goes Fearing Life, can't quite find the tick on that master, but will lose the majority of the shields as a result. But I love Bursty, quick to defend his teammate.
Also, absolutely huge, but I saw in the feed that Furia just got a knock on Patty, the member of Reject. So those are the top 2 squads fighting currently, while Razor is playing this passive-aggressively. They're backing off after they realize, all right, we can't push in. Even though we had to jump on them, we just want to still stick within our own spot. They had to use Portal, though, in the process.
Thankfully, they do have the opportunity to make use of their other ultimates. What I like, though, is the minute they got targeted by a separate angle, that being probably Furia, they pulled back extremely quickly, knowing that there was no longer something to play around here. So Furia, they're going to give it their best attempt now. Most of the resources that were available for the squad side no longer present here. So Furia, just a ticking time. They got to be careful, though. That dome comes down, and they find their way back into this building from a loss.
I actually feel like right now, Furia was the one to not only try to go in for the third party, but it was Rejects that were situated in there, and that's why Razor just called it quits. But look at this pressure. You're stuck in an enclosed room. You got Zera on the fuse.
So good.
You have nowhere to go. You have nowhere to go. Oxter after Oxter. 1, 2, and you're done here. It was Splash, actually, that was situated in that room. Messiah goes down. Blight goes down. That's all a Splash out, and no KP going in favor for Razor, who tried so hard to take that fight.
Oh, and now we look back down here towards launch site. We talked about this building still being in play. Vizio, one of the few squads to work with, and RCO probably the one to fight against them here. Fury and Scissors low. They need to take some time to put their bats back up as RCO, they're looking more than healthy to finish the job. Ring in. They find their way to the building to crack them through. RCO, they've got pressure from behind.
They've been able to reset, but with the other squad moving in on their 6th or third party, they need to fully send it onto this team. There's nothing stopping them. There's no causing on that squad. They are pinned in the circles right to their back.
Oh, and Vizio here now with the dome down. They've got the protection to pull this one out. A dome in response to keep the dreams of RCO alive. Scissors moving forward with the alternator to just shred through. First drop found to Nando. Another down as the Valk takes to the skies. Vizio defends, but remember the third party MBS just a click away.
And what timing is this, too? It's going to be so difficult to reset with
Nice
the death boxes outside. Yeah, yes, nice thermite to keep up the pressure. You see MBS, but look at these angles. Look at these off angles. The high ground, but is it going to be enough with MBS still up and healthy?
Oh, MBS, they clean up even against what were some absolutely amazing angles there. We talked about the third party definitely being present, but we never even discussed what Vizio would have to defend against from them as well. Still, super far south. Fury, in their own right, looks like they've moved out from their building, taking it into the center of Siphon. They find that initial drop onto Jetnins as they continue the fight into the low ground. Looks like they've got 2 squads to take advantage of here.
And he scooped up the KP2, and because it's Boom Shakalaka being on the Valk, he could just get right back to the high ground without overcommitting. Currently, Furia, they're on another level. They're the squad that have been taking out the other squads that are trying to contest them for those top 3 spots. Now that Furia is looking to try to take that #1 spot. Again, game number 5 that they're working off of right here. And they see the other squads now coming in contention as they rotate away from the launch site area.
And Razor, they made big moves to find their way down here into the valley where we do see literally vibing. Surprisingly, it's MBS who hold the only other objective high ground here into this zone.
Absolutely crazy with this open field. You have the natural cover of the rocks, but Furia having this high ground right here is amazing. Just like MBS who have the high ground themselves, these squads are just stuck in the canyon of death. You can see the off angle too that Boom is taking on the high ground to overlook literally vibing that are playing off this dome. And once that dome goes down, Furia's got their back set up.
Already literally vibing, they have to full send it here, and as a result, both Razor and vibing will fall here, not able to survive in the valley that provides nothing to work with. So down to what is close to our last 2 squads remaining. Looks like there's one straggler just trying to survive. You see that slide away there.
Oh man, so much with Furia being on the other side of the high ground here. MBS on the other side themselves to see which of the other squads, the last squads with our last 3 squads here with the game 5. Yeah, and they are going to be able to hold back a little bit, just hang around the cart instead, because we see the circle now pulling right in front of them into that open field.
One member still left standing. There is a revive beacon. Yeah, good. Razor, they do take advantage of the mobile respawn, and they're going to be putting Fearing Live and Dress back into position. Thing is, MBS and Furia are directly taking the fight toe-to-toe. This is going to give Razor plenty of ample time to put themselves back into the game.
And look at all the death boxes that they have to work with. Geez. While this last fight is going down between Furia and MBS, Razor is quickly restabilizing to go in for a third party.
Oh, and already right off the bat, you've got Furia looking to full send this here on to MBS, and with good reason. Look at the cracks. Cryptic from behind. Boom Shakalaka with his own response there, but it won't be enough to prevent the knock from coming through. Now, Furia, both of them, one member down here. Razor, the only 3-man squad actually up on the board.
And being able to reset after getting that res too. Remember, Bursty was the last one alive, and they couldn't call him out. They had that mobile respawn. They were able to utilize that.
Crazy.
Now MBS are playing this as a duo. The circle is closing in right behind their back. Circle 5 here as MBS inch closer to where it's situating itself. And now Furia are in some trouble. They could actually get that res. They do manage to pull it off, and Razor are taking that off angle. MBS in so much pressure.
Yeah. MBS now here. They're going to take the fight more than likely directly to Razor before they look towards Furia. And that might give Furia the edge they need to pull off a win here, as Razor, of course, being on that low ground is such a disadvantage.
Absolutely, but now Furia are going to be jumping down. They see the opportunity as they take some shots, but look at the angles that Razor is holding. Furia aren't going to give up this high ground just yet. The dome's been used out, so now the bombardment has been called. Where are you going to redeploy in front of Tag's?
They're down. Now, redeploy up in the air. We won't know what's happening with MBS as Furia are down to their last member standing here as Tech takes the fight directly to Razor. All 3 members looking more than healthy. Only MBS's Cryptic still alive there. I believe the Valk just slowly floating down from above here as Razor, I think this is their game.
Yeah, this is the comeback that I love to see. Razor getting all their members on board. You see the alternator, you see them surround the truck. There is nowhere to go. Why are you running? Here they go. Razor have come out on top after game number 5. They end up doing it, and we talk about consistency, but Razor for the last 3 games have been within the top 3 spots for the rest of for this entire night. So finally, with them taking game number 5, it was going to happen eventually.
I mean, maybe. I will say, though, that it was not the best of games for Razor, though, coming into that. They sit at what was 4th, supposedly, to go out there. The only happy little mistake that comes through is the fact that Furia decides not to finish off, not to chase that one out. Obviously, you want to hold on to position there in the high ground, but that little bitty instance right there was enough to put Razor back on the mobile respawn. The fact that they got then distracted by what was MBS, I mean, it all kind of mixed into the perfect set of scenarios for Razor, who was totally in the wrong there in those moments.
What was crazy was that you saw Boom look for Bursty, knew that Bursty was probably in the area, but the moment that they had seen MBS rotate onto the high ground, they were worried that their own position was going to be overtaken by MBS, and that was what they prioritized, further leaving the mobile respawn beacon right at the feet of Bursty to get everybody from Razor back and alive.
I know Razor, they're down some money, hopefully in the hopes of sending it over to the PayPal of MBS. They definitely helped them out with that victory. But is it enough to put them anywhere close to the top 3? I know Fury had a big game there, so they're more than likely sitting in number 1, but who knows? Maybe after Razor's win, they needed only what was like 20 points to make it into a place that could potentially put them in some prize pool money going into Game 6. All up in the air. Mobile One leaderboard right after this break.
What's up, guys? Tyler Endress, CEO and founder of Esports Arena. And did you know that Esports Arena is located inside Walmarts all throughout the country? We're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now at one of our awesome Walmart stores. Let's go take a look. Fantastic, right? So typically in the front of the store, you see we got a Subway here, you got some Walmart services, but right there is the Tulsa Esports Arena. Right up front. So literally, if you're just doing some grocery shopping, you're gonna check out over here. Simple as that, or you could check out right in here. We've got Calvin, my man Calvin right here. Hey, yo, log me in on station number 8.
You got it, Tyler.
All right, I'm getting logged in. We're ready to go play some video games. Look at that. The best video cards in the industry. The best CPUs in the industry. The best gaming chairs in the industry, the best Razer peripherals in the industry, the best monitors that let you hit that 200 frames per second in the industry, no screen tearing whatsoever. All right here at Esports Arena. Now I'd let you keep following me along, but I got a tournament to play tonight, so I'm gonna get some practice in.
Furia have been the best team in terms of placement so far tonight with a win and 4 top 3 placements through the first 5 games. But they don't grab that second win here in Game 5 as Team Razor comes out on top. 3 games in a row for the partnered squads, and Razor on the board for the first time in a long time. I don't know that we've seen Razor win a game so far this season. It's been quite a roller coaster for them, but they've got to be feeling good about that victory, and we'll see just how much work they were able to do on the leaderboard with the way that they play. But let's check out our player of the game here for game number 5. It's going to go to Fearing Live. 4 kills and 2 assists in that one, just short of 1,800 damage in that game. And Razor, of course, Nerf was right in the mix with Rejects and Furia at the top of the leaderboard, just I believe 5 points separating first from third place. Razor's hoping to jump up into that range with that win. Not sure how close they are, but we will find out when we go back to Vicky and Zephyr. But well played from them. At the very least, a win under their belt has got to feel nice there for Razor. We are going to go to a quick break. When we come back, the last game of the day, folks. They go by fast, 5 down, and just 1 more to go.
Sugar zero calorie treat. Now all our top fresh flavored splash.
It's fruit freshen.
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast. Excedrin, game over for headaches.
For one last time here, we reintroduce the Series E stream, Game 6. The last chance here for some of these squads to put some points on the board. But speaking of points, let's take a look. That mobile one, I know it's spicy. And I'm willing to bet you that Furia, they're still on top.
We have to see here, especially seeing the way that Furia played that.
Yep.
Ooh, 74 points. Look at our teams, but specifically, look at how close Team Nerf is to Reject's 1 point difference to take that second place spot.
I'll tell you right now, Nerf or Razor are definitely within the realm to pull this one off. Obviously, you have to have the fate that be for Fury and Rejects to fall early, but those two coming into Game 6 are well within the realm to find themselves onto a first place victory tonight, which would be huge for either of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so close here. Looking at our top 4 squads, even Team Vizio having that one pop-off game, they won't be able to claim that from Furia, but still, they're right behind Razor, who after that win have now been able to situate themselves in that top 4 spot. 55 points comfortably too, right behind Nerf.
Oh. At least, technically if Vizio can't go for first, the second is still in position there. Only a happy 18 points away if they want to surpass Rejects at any given point. And that's still in the realm of prize pool. And at the end of the day, these teams are still competing for points across the board in terms of relegation, right? So the higher you do, the better. Okay.
And let's look at the Mobile 1 high performance moment with our squads here. Furia, they were on the high ground. We saw the chaos from Razor from getting the res from the mobile respawn beacon in front of them. Furia had the best high ground, but they were worried that MBS was going to take it from right underneath them. So Razor were able to get their teammates back in, specifically Bursty, who was able to hide away from Boom Shakalaka on from Team Furia.
The thing here that I think comes back onto Fury is the fact that they were so distracted by MBS, right? And MBS, they are putting the metal down there, right? They had the full redeploy. They're pressing onto that high ground for such a long, extended period of time coming into that. So obviously Fury is going to go for the response. But they split so hard there. They had what was, I believe, 2 of their members go for the full throw onto Razor while one was left standing to potentially stop the onslaught from MBS. That decision on its own was enough to disrupt the position that they had held on to so gracefully for a majority of that final circle.
And not only were they split up for Razor, they were also split up when they started their engagement for MBS. The reason why they had played in that disadvantage was because Boom had actually gone down first in their interaction with MBS. So while they were trying to reset there, Razor, they were coming up from the low ground, poking away at MBS. MBS was sandwiched between both Razor and Furia had no way to restabilize at the start of that fight because they took the fight originally to MBS at the very end there.
Right. And we could talk about Fury all day long, but let's not take it away from Razor. They did technically find that first knock on to MBS, and they were able to clean up the rest of the roster there from Fury in their own aggression to take them down. So a well-deserved win in their own right, and a happy final kill to put that one on the board for themselves. As now, for one last time, we reintroduce World's Edge, the final opportunity here for some of these teams to pick up those points.
I love it. I love seeing here that you look at our squads that have won the games for tonight. Nerf is the only team to have taken a double win, given that opportunity as well for game number 5 for Razor to take their first win of the season here in the Series E Open. You love to see it. You love it here. And now we're going to tune in to Razor to see what they're going to do after coming out of that win. You can imagine the adrenaline this team has after such a worrisome end game where you were able to get 2 of your teammates back on board.
It's definitely looking stacked, sitting all the way deep down there into launch site. We've got another northern zone. This one's not going to be pulling as far west as Survey Camp, definitely leaving a lot more up to play out there towards the east, but still a hefty rotation in store here, but not just for Razor, but also for Nerf.
And I'm seeing here, actually, with 19 squads left off the rip, a Nightmare not contesting Lava Siphon. It doesn't look like we're going to get an early 50-50 in that situation. Maybe Nightmare just absent here from the lobby, but now Furia in an early fight now themselves. Super early on. That's some great KP that they have their sights on as they put in some pressure, but oh wow, the timing for that grenade blowing up right in Tech's face.
Dome's down. The minute this one ticks out, Boom and Tech will launch. I like this, though, in response. They try to take out Zera, knowing that the full throttle will come through here from what they probably already know is this squad here. But quick response, Dome down, a full break found there from Tech with the L-Star, drops through and just barely picks up the knock there to start this one off against Renas.
And you love it. You see Furia taking these off angles. This is exactly how they love to play with Zera. Now also finding that crack. You see that thermite there too. He's got another one. He's got the crack. Where are you going? He almost got that knock.
Almost found there, taking good advantage of that knuckle cluster to pressure and zone out this squad. I love the double angle that Zera is taking advantage of, having that as a useful tool to work with. Problem is, squad's not looking too good. At least, though, they do find the response onto Silo in the meantime. He does get the drop there, but it wasn't for the full extent of that team.
They give some time, though, to help reset, but you see the Arc Stars getting sent out with Zera trying to go in for a flank off to the side. They're trying to find a sandwich situation, but with these purple Evo shields, so much damage still being put down by Zera. He's going to have purple shortly himself, and it's Vizio. This is the squad that they've been trying to find a skirmish with at the start.
No, this is a third party, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, moving in, actually. I think they're moving from Landslide.
I was about to say, Vizio lands Landslide, and they're now coming in to potentially clean up house here, hearing the shots, and not doing it too well, apparently. Scissors almost completely taken out from Boom Shakalaka there. They throw the dome down. Wave doesn't have the opportunity to go for the full revive, and as a result, might just be out there. Fury up against the wall. They're trying to play off of this high ground, but Zera and the rest of the Furia squad continue to defend.
But it's another squad moving in. You see Zera taking shots. And mind you, this is the last game tonight. This is the last game for Fury to get those points that they need here. They're going to be able to get the res, luckily, behind this rock. But how much time before the fourth party, the fifth party now roll in? You can see the silhouettes off to the right, but it's going to take some time for Fury to restabilize.
I think they're good. At this point, the party would have come in if they wanted to make this one happen. I mean, standing there on the railings, that's not going to get you any kind of kill pressure. So Furia look to be happy where they are. They've picked up, I believe, 3 KP coming out of that monstrosity of a start for themselves. So already continuing to push the lead that they have in first.
Absolutely crazy here, the way that Fury has been able to survive through that, survive through now another squad rolling in. Look at this, the action is non-stop, and if anything, this is helping out Furia so much, not only with the KP that they need to rack up those extra points, but also with this loot that they're going to be able to work off of.
God, I think that might be that kind of one last residual member of the earlier fight there. I don't think it's actually a full roster, but who knows? They're chasing that one as far west as it gets. They can play edge all they want here. They've got the time. Frenzy, though, playing this little no-name village, a team that we actually haven't had the opportunity to see at all tonight, currently sitting in 20th overall with only 1 point to their name. Big defensive bombardment into a portal. To see where they might be going.
So Saul right there, it was hard stuck D4s that were actually in that area too. So that's going to be that squad going out for this final game. I like this repositioning from Team Frenzy though, as they're going to infiltrate this building. No beacon control though for Team Frenzy, so they're just going to be able to situate themselves in here. No Caustic either to try to hold back that third party, but We Touch Grass, they've been in this fight for quite some time and they lose Boney Tony in the process.
Right, I believe this is that trash roster. I mean, wow. Saying it like that makes it stand out, but you definitely know what I'm trying to say here. We Touch Grass. Oh, and they even come out on top of them. Make me sound even worse.
Team trash, I guess is the best way to call it. And now Nerf, they're going to be able to take this building, which is great for them. They don't have a Cosmic to secure all the way, but we've seen this circle before. We've seen these circles sometimes hang out by the suburban part of this climatizer area. So this is going to be important for Nerf, who want to play for the late game. They want to play for more than just placement points, because you can see the damage has been put down from the squad.
Right. I like this building in particular when we talk about these zones and how they finish, because it's so extended compared to the rest of how everything is clustered. To make an impact on this building, you usually have to find your way out into the open. And most squads who maybe find their way onto the bridge right out there towards the west, or some of those carts just below them, are going to be taking angles on you if you try to aggress on them. So Nerf, they know they're safe for now. Either way, like I said, there's plenty of other areas that most squads will find their way forward. But for now, it looks like 14 squads left, some more fights to behold. Round 1, a complete mess of a start.
And I love that I'm seeing Messiah right now on that horizon to get that verticality going here. They have the beacon in the middle of that building, but they're fully sending it onto the squad. Look at the pressure. Oh, yeah, into the zone too, but with Blight being on this fuse and another squad now rolling in from their 6, they're going to be circle kept here if they don't get something going.
It looks like they come out on top, though. They get the rest of Razor down here, so our 4th place team here now out for the count in our Game 6. The dreams have ended early here for this squad, and Splash, like you said, they take up high ground. They're going to try to play back into the squad that currently gatekeeps them. They don't have the opportunity to play through the standard meta of what we've seen out of compositions with that Valkyrie, so they're going to have to go mono-e-mono if they want to work into zone here. And while they do have some impressive tools to utilize through the Horizon Infuse, I don't know if it's going to be strong in the long term here.
Especially since they have to inch their way now into the circle, as they are playing this on the outskirts. And I also saw MBS, our squad that got 2nd place just in last game, game number 5, are now out. So 12 squads left, and we just started circle 2, by the way, here, Zephyr.
Well, 12 squads left, one of them definitely being Furia. Nerf's still on the board. All right, let's say that at least. Nerf's still on the board, and while they haven't picked up the respectable KP that Furia started us off with here, if Furia goes down, say, in the next 2 or 3, you got yourself the potential to surpass them. But Nerf, they need to step it up, right? Typically in these Game 6s, I mean, this is why we see them pull as aggressive as they do. Squads know that they need the points here. And Nerf, I like the position that they've put themselves out towards the north, but that's not something that's going to garner them much to work with, especially if they're looking for a 1st place end tonight.
Yeah, especially if their goal is to prioritize their positioning. Sure, it's that win, but you got to make sure you can get that KP, deny other KP from teams like Rejects, who have been just fragging out of their mind all night tonight. Now Splash make their way into the circle. Jeez. They're taking their sweet time. They want to approach from the high ground, and I like that because it's Excedrin who's waiting for them on the other side of the circle.
Do they even know? I know they're just here crafting.
They're on the Bloodhound. They're on the Bloodhound here. They track somebody nearby here. You can see enemy putting down the pings as they see that somebody's been here just 9 seconds ago.
Oh, Excedrin here now. Trying to see if they can sniff this one out. You know, you can feel them itching to make a move, right, to find their way in a circle. But they don't just quite want to let this one go. They want to finish strong in a sense here. But zone, it's convincing. It's going to force them out.
Also, love to see that Kimchi Lee has that turbo. We were talking about it earlier, but the turbo is in the replicator as well as the purple stabilizer. And for the weekly, it's the purple bag and purple helmet when we had seen the mobile respawn just this weekend be in the weekly rotation chamber. But we have a fight going on here as Rejects are hugging the bridge, but they're forced off of the high ground. Even though they have the caustic barrel set up, they don't want to take this fight, so they're just going to try to play this from the low ground. But wondering, is this the option here as the force has now been used up?
This is a tough spot to be, and I like the fact that they're going for the redeploy. If you aren't going to have the full metal to hold down this bridge, you might as well just leave it because it is one of the hardest places to work with here. Intel, though, they've found a knock. They've got that dome down in front. The revive is coming through. Wasn't able to be pulled off, and as a result, Rock Monkey will be a full thirst here for the Intel squad. They're going to have to play around the back end of this rock, especially with that defensive environment slowing them down. But still, it's a 1 KP.
Oh man, we got that big mod longbow, we got the high ground, we got Petty Boss with a field day of shots that he could be taking with this same spot. So Petty in a pretty comfortable position as they are going to hold on to this high ground right here. Again, that circle is going to be pulling north towards Climatizer, so this is a pretty good spot for Intel to hold.
Right, and if they want to find a nice position here for round 3 and 4, they've got that cart right in front of them. They could go for one of the bridges that are technically available, one of the shorter end ones. But for now, Petty Boss, skeet shooting out there. Not quite skeet shooting, they're technically running, but still fun.
Oh, and while they're taking shots, they're making a lot of noise too. And remember that squad that infiltrated that bridge spot away from Rejects. As they were forced to redeploy. Petty, though, is getting peppered himself. Yeah, sandwiched here. Not sure if it's a sniper sandwich. That's not the sandwich I really want to eat out here, but Intel are going to have to restabilize with Petty now having to pop the shield bat, trying to take some natural cover. He's still getting shot at by the team that's on the bridge.
I like what Intel's trying to do here, but if we're talking about the extent of this game, going longer, move more directly into Epicenter. You know where we saw Vizio hold that one out? You're just right nearby, and it works so much better in terms of long term. Furia, they finally have made their way out from the west. That defensive bombardment is down. The dome blocks the majority of this one out, but they know they can play into this one. It is a low ground disadvantage, but still, with cracks found and a Valkyrie down there, Nobu to start this one off. Sap as well. One member running into the building isn't enough, and Furia look exceptionally clean there on the take of that squad, but now they have to defend against one more.
Yeah, was it fast enough to finish that fight? Look at his back was too close. Shakalaka, why are you running here? As he cleans that up so quickly. Now they have the number advantage, and it was Banshee who goes down from that squad.
I wasn't even looking. Didn't even have any. Why are you just running back? Turn.
That's literally 5 minutes. I cannot believe this. Furia is going to have a field day with this KP for this final game.
They weren't able to technically pull off that second member. Did surprisingly make it out alive. The pressure from his teammate kept them in there, but still, they're looking fairly healthy. They were pressured out from some level of ordinances there. It's Carnage, Cowboy, Lazarus. Looks like it's a combo of squads taking advantage of that misvision, just hearing the shots.
And the line of sight, you saw the charge rifle from across the field of Climatizer taking shots at Furia, which is how they were able to get that knock. So they are going to be able to get that res being in that natural cover of that cart. But now Intel on this bridge, they're going to have a lot of loot to work with. We're going to have to see if Furia manages to make it out, if that building on the other side of Climatizer isn't taken up just yet.
I like the fact that Intel did go for the full bridge take, though. There was a squad here, and they were actually able to go for it. Most squads don't go for the 3-on-3 contest, usually. So the fact that Intel was willing to pull that one out here in Game 6 gives me the impression here of the further extent of what this team is capable here long term. Excedrin, though, they're now in the same position that we just saw Furia, the squad ahead of them. Curious to see who that may be. They're the ones who usurped this position. It's definitely a good one. One of the few high ground ridges that you have the opportunity to play within. As Kimchi Lee looking for some of those angles.
Because it's about sending a message here and letting them know that you got that turbo on the Devo. That's how you know right here. It's about letting them know you have scary weapon in your hand here to work with. Excedrin are not fully sending it though. They're just going to be poking from afar. And I believe Furia was on that low ground. I saw a Valk try to pull off to the side. Excedrin aren't fully sending it still. They're just trying to play this safely while still putting in some pepper.
Ooh, Splash. They're the ones inside here responding to the pressure that Dome's going to give this team the opportunity to set themselves up for their next step forward. But that zone's putting down a huge chunk of health and dismay from Excedrin as Kimchi Lee will be the first of all one in response. Their Blight to go down as well as Messiah running for the hills. There's Rejects on the off end.
Oh, they're moving in. They said, wait, we want in on the party. There's somebody right behind Patty, I think, right here. No, rather, it was actually just it was a take damage from the fire there. And so they're going to be able to pull up at the perfect time to claim all that loot. Wondering if that's actually Furia on the low ground. We're going to have to see, because it's a two-man, and we had seen a member of Furia go down earlier inside the same exact building.
Oh, hey, Rejects They're probably, if I had to say, I think the last standing, maybe 3-man roster of our top 4 still within this one. Fury may be in there, but they definitely don't have all 3 members left in play here. Yeah, Boom Shakalaka there. Zera, you're missing the one. Tech, my apologies.
Yeah, it's actually going to be difficult for Furia, but not impossible.
Oh, they go for the re.
Yeah, they're going to try to go for it here. You can see the bridge take as well with Rejects, another one of our squads that have just been on another level. They have the G7 in their hands, though, so this is going to be scary as they are going to have that high ground.
Sadly, Boom Shakalaka is taken out there in a mix from Precision to remove the rest of the Furia squad here there as they both go down. Now, Intel, they moved out from their bridge, fairly aggressive to pull this one off. I think they should be fine to... Yeah, no one took their spot away from them, so definitely one of the best positions out of any one of these squads currently. Oh!
They got Tech back in. Yeah,
the revive came through. Hey, bud!
I love it. One of the things I absolutely love is being able to see which of the squads have been fully eliminated in that fate. And Tech was like, that's none of my business. Sorry, guys. Got to dip out of here. Got my white Evo steel. Not much I can work with. I got to talk about, I love the Gibby run animation. He's absolutely doing his best here.
Hey, he's chugging. I mean, the little train that could up that hill there. I mean, he's huffing. He's puffing. Tech, though. Up the hill, gets the perp. Now... we'll see how long he can survive. So it's funny because, you know, as much as we joke about it, you know, these squads will continue to fight against one another as Tech stays up here. Furia's dream of first place continues to stay alive more than anyone else can really expect.
Yeah, not the same could be said about literally Vibing, who have been taken out here. Nerf now trying to control this building. Similar situation. They're playing from underneath the dome, which won't provide that cover that you're looking for, but the portal actually sending one of the members out of the situation with Demi moving up, closing in the gap with the wingman.
Yeah, there we go. Finally able to remove the majority there of the Lazarus squad. Another squad coming in, though, in response to the back end of this building, and Nerf now down the 1 member. Demi out through the door, turns left to his own. They're just going to go for the full run. Take off on the high ground here. Maybe see if they can pull off the reset, but the Wraith come through on the back end to keep the dream alive there. As Turns stepping up to defend with that triple take. I'm surprised they didn't keep that one going there.
And DB gets a knock at the same time. The comps must be going absolutely wild for Nerf as they were able to rejoin together up on the high ground. Both DB, both Turns are looking for an opportunity. He is going to go back in. He had got a knock originally, and he gets another one. He gets fucking back down.
Now they know they've got that 2-man advantage. Turns is slowly healing back up as Demi trying to set this. They had the drop there from Precision to find their way into low end. Why? You're just bullying them at this point.
You're not going to get that res. I won't let you. They still haven't gotten the banner for Force Wall, but this is great for Nerf because this is a lot of KP going in favor for the team in total, but Demi is just putting on so much work. Now Turns is in some trouble.
It's Intel. Finally, they're coming up to respond to this one. They know that it hasn't been the cleanest of fights here, seeing the feed constantly, or, well, technically it's not this, so that's not quite true anymore. Either way, they've heard the shots, they've heard the extended fights here, and now they look to take the majority of the KP for themselves here after the back end of that one. Both Precision and Nerf.
I love
Tech.
Oh, no, they found Tech in the process. Oh, Tech cleans it up. Tech cleans up Splash. Oh, from the low ground. Oh, we take those. Nobody wants to give up that high ground spot that they have unless it's going to be a Valk that they go in for the quick reposition. But the circle, it's closing in. You got to get moving. That's going to take way too much damage. It's Patty coming in from Rejects to clean up Tech. The dream for Furia has finally died.
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to see how the leaderboard fares after this one. 5th is definitely a good place to be there. Still, though, a big name. Rejects on the board. The longer they keep this one going, the more likely they have the chance to surpass, my apologies, Fury there.
Gonna be huge here. What a performance from tech. He was still able to get that 1 KP. Everything matters here. But Rejects, we have to highlight this spot that they have right here. They have controlled so much of that open ground space for this Climatizer spot with all of Patty's barrels. And they have these angles that they can hold far wide, like you see Young Pop-Tart taking, where they can split some of that focused attention when it comes to the focus fire that Intel can put down leaving this building.
Reminder that Intel and Rejects, they're the only 2 full 3-man rosters still alive here coming to the end. You've got 2 rats here on the map somewhere, as now Intel looks to go for the full send around the back end of this fence. They do find the break, but not quite the knock that Dome gonna protect for now.
That was a great break, but they're not going to fully send it. They know that the other squad's right there. They force out the Dome at least with the final circle closing it right behind them. That squad won't have a Dome.
Fearless and them ready. They can't make any moves yet. That defensive bombardment's going to slow them down here as they get the read that everyone's in the area to play here. Over the wall they go to follow through. The first knock down with the alternator. Switch to that wingman. Pick up a second one as Mooney looks to keep this one going forward. A 45 on the back end of the boxes here as the Intel squad is making quick work of the rest here.
Oh, and they cleaned it up too. Mooney is feeling the beast inside him right now. With those wingman shots, he still has that alternator that he's going to be able to work with too. Tossing out the grenades. You were highlighting it. The rat was still alive. Yup. And you see the face now. Are they going to be able to capitalize off of that now with the other rat having to come down from the high ground?
You think at this point they just negotiate with each other?
Hey, you know, this sucks, man. You can't do anything about it. Intel, the only full-man squad up and alive, take our final game of the night.
And hey, I gotta hand it to Intel. It's been a rough night, and to finish with a win, it definitely feels good here. I know they were sitting within the realm of kind of those 30 or so points, so maybe just maybe that was enough, but I don't quite know how aggressive they were getting. For a majority of the game, it seemed like Furia was the ones picking up the kills.
Yeah, they were going absolutely crazy with their rotations. They were playing so aggressive, literally vibing, being another squad that was getting very aggressive themselves. Rejects were trying to play for that position, but they just did not win that trade. Intel saw blood in the water, and they saw that that was the only other squad that had all 3 members up and alive. So to capitalize off of that situation, off of their positioning, was an amazing call from Team Intel.
Definitely a good one. We promise you there's plenty more to see here in terms of Series E, but we need time. We need time to put that leaderboard together. So you got to give us the opportunity to go to break. So we're going to throw this one back to Yeso, and hopefully you'll let the music of his voice sing to your ears. Stick around.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true sign trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. The memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. With the balls and the breaks, I'm talking one chance that was so good for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
We cap off the night there with an Intel victory. Well played there as they come out on top. Nerf getting into the top 2 there. I'm not sure it was enough to catch up to Furia. Not only did they go into Game 6 with a big lead, but I think they showed up real strong in that last one despite not being able to put up another top 3 finish. Let's check out our final player of the game for tonight, and it's going to go to Fearless. 6 kills and 3 assists and over 2,000 damage. That's a really good showing to close the night there for Team Intel. At the very least, 21 points from them. And of course, they were in the hunt for that kind of 4th to 6th place spot. Maybe this game jumps them up into the top 3. It would take quite a bit of work to jump into the money at top 2. Nerf, again, was looking really good early on in the night, was able to build a nice cushion between themselves and the rest of the squads below them. So Nerf, hopefully feeling good about a 2nd place finish and being in the money once again. But I think Furia may have done all that they had to do to secure a top finish tonight. Tech, Hack, and Zara, they're looking real strong in their performance tonight. Very consistent, too. I talk every week about how you don't necessarily have to win a bunch of games, and of course, Furia only took 1 tonight. It's about that consistency, continuing to put points up on the board. Kills every single game, getting into that good chunk of placement points on a consistent basis, and Furia was able to do that, and it's certainly going to be a key in their victory if they do end up at the top of the leaderboard. We are going to go to one final break right now. When we come back, Zephyr and Vicky will check out our final Mobile One leaderboard, and I'll be back to close the show. Don't go away.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Eat, Speak, Compete.
Eat, Speak, Compete.
Yes. What have you been playing this week?
More of all these guys. Somebody say another booster box.
Yeah, right?
I'm not excited for the release of New Worlds.
But when you look at the Hallmark titles of the last decade, it feels like they're finally ready.
They finished strong. Like 35-2.
And I just typed dance ? And put maybe Kyle, if you're watching, put like a red alarm or whatever in my hand right here. Pause and go watch it, or you can just skip the weekend. We're gonna talk about it. Final spoiler warning. Lou.
Oh yeah.
The little web slinger.
I literally feel like it's a guaranteed flop.
Follow us on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, or if you want to see our gorgeous faces, we're over on YouTube. Just search Esports Arena.
Dang. That's super fun sounding.
Yeah, I think it's gonna go.
That sounds super fun. I think that
Team Nerf, Rejects, Furia, the 3 names that have carried through all night long, but one final leaderboard to put it all to rest. Let's take a look. Our Mobile One last time here. See who came out on top.
And it's Furia, the team that has been so consistent.
Jeez.
Like we had just heard earlier here. Game 1, that's the game that they took everything. But despite that game, they had so much KP going on throughout the rest of the night where they've consistently ended within the top 3 spots.
They didn't pull out the win, but they managed to somehow extend their 14-point gap to a 17-point gap. That alone is crazy to me.
But you know what's crazy as well? Seeing that Team Nerf overtook Rejects in that 2nd place spot by a single point. That was Nerf fragging out in that final game. Good on Nerf to be able to make that turnaround because, you were talking a little bit about it, Zephyr. Seeing Nerf turn up in those pro nights, it was just a matter of time before they were able to do the same exact thing in this open days.
And more impressively, don't forget it was Nerf who actually were able to survive and rat out there. And Intel took down Rejects prior to when Nerf fell there. Had Nerf not ratted that one out and not survived into those final moments, that would have been it. We would be seeing them in 3rd right now.
Looking at the Mobile One high performance moment, though, it was this moment to fully send it. This decision from Intel was amazing. To get so aggressive on the only other squad, which was Rejects here, to have all 3 members still standing was extremely important because imagine the crucial moments it would have been for 2 rats sitting inside of the building to push in for a third-party moment here onto Intel.
I know we talk up Furia, Nerf, and the rest of them because they sit high upon our leaderboard, but this was a fantastic game from Intel, right? It was one of the best that I've seen out of this squad in recent times here, and it shot them from 8th all the way up to 4th, so they can definitely go home happy tonight knowing that they had a phenomenal performance.
Yeah, I really like the come up that we have been seeing from Intel. I wonder if it's the jersey power up since I'm wearing the white variation of the Intel jersey this time. Since last week I repped the Vizio one since Vizio's just been on a different level. But having a different winner within the Series E Open is amazing. Because again, Vizio for the last 4 weeks prior to last week, which was week number 5, they were winning every single week. Now Furia is our new winner here, going onto week 6 to sit right alongside Splash, who won week 5, and Vizio for those last 4 weeks leading up to the start of the Open Day.
Well, plenty of things continuing to shake up here in Series E. It's never quite set in stone. One final time here, it's been an absolute pleasure joining you all on the desk to cover some of the best of the best. I'm Zephyr. Of course, that's the lovely Vicky Kitty. And we're going to be signing off here tonight as we throw it for one last time to our friendly friend, Yeso.
Thank you, Zephyr. A pleasure to see your faces and hear your voices tonight. Not a better way to start off my week. Of course, Furia take the win tonight. Congratulations to them. Tech and the squad looking really strong, really consistent all throughout the 6 games tonight, and that's a big reason why they take the victory. And of course, Nerf, you heard Vicky and Zephyr talking about it, just sneaking away second place from Rejects by a single point. You want to talk about every point matters. It was a single point that was the difference between Nerf taking some cash home tonight and not doing so. So well played from them. They continue these really good showings. They've yet to grab that first place finish, but at the very least, they're putting points up on the board every single night. But of course, the story here is Furia with the big win. And again, congratulations to them. That is going to do it for the show tonight, folks. Of course, don't forget, we still have stuff going on all week long. We will be back tomorrow for Pro Night. It'll be our first look at Team Esports Arena and TSM following the awesome rivalry we saw budding in the ALGS playoffs this past weekend. Certainly looking forward to that. We'll have Guilty Gear this Thursday, and we'll be back to wrap everything up and talk about everything Series E this Friday with series recap, so don't miss out on that. My name is Yeso. It's been a pleasure to be your host here tonight. I always enjoy getting to come and hang out with all of you. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, including my man Push, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next time.